Welcome to the STABcast, a podcast dedicated to Star Wars Legion.
San Diego. Drink it in. It always goes down smooth.
What a beautiful view, Mr. Burgundy.
I know. I love this city. It's a fact. It's the greatest city in the history of mankind. Discovered by the Germans in 1904. They named it San Diego.
Yeah, welcome, cadets and commanders, to the STABcast, the Sunspear Tactical Attack Brigade's Star Wars Legion podcast. I am Will, used my Sharpie on my 2 pips, Heim, with Ryan, gained Field Commander Slowoski, Ben, the only thing that went up is my chances, Fowler.
Yes.
But Tim
That's good.
plays the good faction, hoping it'll rub off on him. Hannon is not with us today. He's on assignment.
I didn't see that change to the notes. That's a nice change.
Well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
He's got 3 of 4 now. He's just a bandwagoner.
We've known that for a while. And if you notice on our last episode, he was like, well, Rebels are clearly the strongest faction. A faction he doesn't play.
Right.
Tim's defense, I still think he's right. But this week on the 84th episode of the STABcast, Battle Reports, the RRG changes have finally appeared after we said they would when we posted our last episode.
That's true.
We draw forth them for the universe. And much, much more.
Monkey's paw curls whenever the STABcast makes an announcement.
So, surprisingly, in all this time, I didn't get to play any Legion.
Really?
Hey, Ben, I got you. I've played enough for the whole show. It's fine.
But you haven't played anything with the new rules except for one match that we'll talk about.
It's a match is a strong term.
But Ben, what were you up to?
So I also got to play a game that's about to have massive changes happen to it. I got to
Really?
play some X-Wing.
Oh, that's the game I play now.
Oh, that's
So
neat.
it's a super fun game. I enjoyed myself. Got to even go to a small local tournament, which Will was running, which I helped support.
I heard
Nice.
that guy's an asshole.
He is. It's true.
I had a list provided. I was fine with my list, and Will's like, "You should really play the new stuff that you just bought last week." I was like, "But I don't know how it works." He's like, "You can figure it out." So he bullied me into changing my list 15 minutes before the tournament started.
And I was right.
I had lots of fun playing it. I did not win any games that were not the buy.
It's not about the wins, it's the fun you have along the way.
Those new TIE FO bombers are super cool. Will bullied me with some dice, and then I bullied myself by not rolling dice well. So every time I play against Will's like, "God damn, that's how'd you even roll that?" I don't know, Will. This just they fell out of my hand, and that's what happens.
It's whatever you're not looking for. Like, you'll have a focus and roll blanks, and then the time you don't have a focus, you roll a bunch of focuses, and it's just like, Ben, I don't know what you've done or pissed off, but this is some sort of wrath.
And Ryan and I were talking about this before you woke up this morning, and I was like, I don't know if it's because there's less dice involved, and so it feels more impactful when they don't turn out correctly.
Yeah, that's the math.
I've played
yeah.
red defense dice in Legion. I have.
Yeah.
But normally, and it's impactful in that moment, but at least you're getting to throw much more dice, so you don't feel it quite as bad. But when you hit, 4 blank attack rolls in X-Wing in a row, you're like, well, might as well not even play this game.
That's exactly what happened to me when I played the one game of 2.0 I played, ready to get back into things. It just went horribly wrong, and I was like, nope, I'm done. All right, adios. I'm going to go play Legion now.
Then again, that game can be over in 50 minutes, and I can go play another one.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think over like a big day of playing it, you're going to have about the same amount of swinginess. It's just that per game, it'll feel more impactful in X-Wing.
Absolutely agree. But I had fun. I had fun with it, and we've been talking about Legion quite a bit.
We've been talking about Legion quite a bit because, contrary to popular belief, we're about 4.5 minutes in. This is a Legion podcast.
I mean, we've done, 84 episodes now?
Yeah.
Somehow.
We were mostly Legion.
Mostly Legion.
So I bring this up because Will and I have been playing some X-Wing when I can. It's a thing I can do when I get out of work. I can't play Legion when I get out of work. There's not enough time at my local game store. They don't stay open late enough for me to get there, set the game up. And I've talked about this struggle before. Yeah. So I don't get to play, like I said, I don't get to play Legion much during the week unless it's a weekend activity. So, Ryan and I got to play a couple weeks ago, which is the first time you and I had played in, 6 months? 8 months?
When did we play?
Oh, no, we were going to play, and we didn't play because we were playing Keith. Never mind.
Because Keith called me out. I haven't played you in for freaking ever. Yeah.
forever. And honestly, you hadn't played Will in forever. So the other night when you said that you and Will were going to get together for a game, I was like, ooh, I would love to have been a fly on that wall.
You could have been our voyeur if you wanted.
You could have. Yeah, it's true.
I had graduate school work I was working on. So I was just, I texted Will. I was like, kick his ass, Will. And then that was about the last I heard to the end of the game.
Yep.
So Will, how'd that game against Ryan go?
Yeah, how'd the game go, Will?
After some changes had been announced, I wanted to test some lists that had gone down about 20 points. So I put out the call, and it was responded to by Ryan, who lives like 4 minutes away from me, and yet this is the first
never
game
see
at my
each
house.
Other. Yep.
So
when's the last time the two of you played each other?
Oh, we talked about it. I think it was the bombing run where I forgot I could, I forgot Ryan could pick up a box. Or pick up a bomb after I dropped it.
2 years ago, yeah.
It was.
I don't know what it says about me as a person, and I probably don't want to know. But I don't play you three, you guys and Tim, all that often at all.
I've played Tim more in the past 6 months than I've played you or even Will in Legion in the past 6 months. Well, that's not you. Will, I've played a couple times. So.
Yeah. I've not played any of y'all very often. I've played a few with Tim, and then I'll catch Ryan at a tournament every now and then, but that's only if I am not just having a good time, is how I would describe it. If I'm not just 1-1 having a party, if I have to go 2-0 and think about my choices and then still be wrong.
Yes.
So there's some point changes that come out. What were you playing?
I was playing the clones with the recently cheapened Anakin.
Okay.
Clone Commander, who has gone up. Big sad. All phase 1s, I had 1 rocket guy, 2 DC-15s, and a 5s with the upgrades on those. So 4 phase 1s. Then I had 2 naked barks. And then a lat.
I like this plan. Was it just a battle lat, or were you transporting somebody?
It was the transport lat. So I have the pilot that says when you get out, you get a free aim or dodge and a surge.
Did you put Anakin in the lat?
I did.
Yeah, I know we talked.
Listen, I've had nightmares of Darth Vader in the lat. I don't need nightmares of Anakin also in a lat.
And the lat also had impact shells and link targeting, which was probably not a good call, but it was interesting.
Yeah, we
had to chat about it.
I brought what I took to SoCal, and I just made a legal version of it. And I replaced Lando with Han to get a few points back there. And then R2 became another core trooper, essentially. R2 became a sniper strike team to give me a little more bag control, giving me another special forces slot. Otherwise, it was pretty much the same list because I had my game with Orchimedes, Kyle from Scoundrels and Invader League coming up, and I wanted to get as much relevant practice as I could. And my SoCal list, which I'll talk about here in a minute, is a lot of fun to play. Will invited me into his home, set up his table. It was really nice. I had not played on your setup before.
Oh yes,
it was
my
cool.
my wooden terrain desert. My 5'11" neoprene mat.
Did Will do what he does every time I've gone to play games over there, which is put on a movie which is supposed to distract me from my gameplay?
Yeah, we watched Revenge of the Sith and then Return of the Jedi.
I put on the 2 best Star Wars films.
Get the hell out of
here. Now that we have all these other movies out, they're mediocre. They sit in the middle solidly, I think. But that's a different podcast.
Oh, I like Return of the Jedi more than I should. But
I just imagine a world where they're actually Wookiees instead of Ewoks, and how amazing that would have been.
Right,
yes. Yeah. But merchandising.
Merchandising.
Anyway, this clearly intimidated Ryan as I proceeded to hot dice the shit out of him. Ryan's double airspeeder was going to eat my lat's breakfast, just whatever I was trying to do. So
you would
turn
think.
One,
let's talk about turn 0 and deployment first, because I think that honestly is a pretty big story of our game.
We did the new thing with the all 12.
How'd you like that?
I think it's an improvement.
I think it is an improvement. I'm still getting used to it, but it's definitely going to take some getting used to. But yeah, it's everything it's what I've been asking for.
As red player, he could not pin me into certain options because I could always just go for the 4th column. Which
Yeah.
Now the thing is, well, what if 3 and 4 is what the blue player wants? And if that happens, it's like, okay.
Well, that's a list building mistake then. If there's if there's two
if you're bad at
objectives that
two
are going to get you
objectives,
hosed. Yeah.
Yep.
I enjoyed it, although for this game, the turn 0 was not the best, perhaps.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for you.
We ended up on Disarray, Intercept, and...
No, it was, we played Minefield.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I think 2 of the mines, because it was Disarray, just got completely ignored.
Yeah, 2 mines never went off. One of them went off and didn't kill anything, and the other one went off and killed like 1 rebel trooper, so...
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will sets up. He's got a pretty fortified corner on Disarray and a pretty open corner on Disarray. And I'll be honest, both of my corners were pretty good for intercept. And so Will put all of his clones and one of his barks on one side, and then Anakin and a lat and the other bark in the other side. Why did you choose to split that way?
So my thought was I could get Anakin on the middle with Exemplar, and his range back would mean he could then share tokens and do whatever and throw orders and do whatever else, but be a threatening on the middle point while Barks harassed your guys trying to get there, and then maybe some of my squads like double move mid-game to get up there into cover. It's like Anakin can meet them in the middle.
Right, okay.
And try to mulch anything that's up there by the time he arrives.
Sure.
And that might have worked, but
right now were you blue or red? I'm trying to remember. I had last. You were blue.
I was
right?
red player.
Oh, you were red. Okay.
Yeah. So this was your deck.
So yeah, this was my deck. I just remember getting to put both of my airspeeders down after your lat, which theoretically is problematic.
Well, yes, because I had to place the lat before Anakin.
Right.
So you had first place and last placement. So it was like your last 2 drops were your airspeeders, and my second to last was a lat.
Because I was that's right. I was a activation up.
Yeah, because I had 9 and you had 10.
Yeah, I had 10. Yeah. Okay, I forgot that I was an act up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I split my corners along the short edge of the board across from his lat went my 2 airspeeders and pretty much my entire army, except for 3 activations. I put the vets and my Mark II in my other corner with the goal, like there's a gap, and if I could cross it, I would have a really great firing line on anybody that could contest like the point that his clones were on, and it would be hard for them to shoot back from cover. But there was a gap I was going to have to cross, and I knew that would be tricky, but I could maybe buy some time. And then I put Biston. There was a raised platform in the middle with the middle point, and I just kind of dropped a Biston right on it, where he had some good cover.
A raised platform with stairs, so it was
with stairs.
Yeah,
but it was pretty good cover, and I it's dangerous to throw Biston just out there, but I kept the faith.
So anyway, turn 1, I shot Biston.
As you do.
As you do.
The lat split across the board was already turning out poorly because, as he said, there was a T-47 pointed towards me, and the other one was pointed towards all my clones. But through some magic saving dice, both airspeeders had to come try to bully it.
And they still didn't get it.
No.
Biston and both airspeeders. I pointed one of the airspeeders towards his clones, but then just used wedge to kind of rotate him around as needed.
Yeah.
Did your lat on that first turn roll above 50?
I think on the first roll, and then the other rolls you weren't doing great on the hits. So the first airspeeder flies up, gets 5. I think you got the full 6.
Yeah, I might have. Yeah,
because you got like a crit, 2 surges, and 3 hits, and then that all turned into crits.
Right. Yeah, it was dumb.
Because of course it does.
Yeah, because of course it does.
Because it does. It's just how it works. But then my first roll, I blocked like 4 of 6 on the white.
Yeah, you got
dice.
4 of them. Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice.
I'm like, all right, she's got some moves. And then went ahead and moved up with it because I was like, I want 2 actions now before Biston ions me. So I moved up and shot Biston for nothing.
Yeah.
Even with I had an LTA and used my impact shell because it was like, I don't think I'm going to shoot again this game, so let's just use it.
Expend all the rockets.
And I probably
no hits.
Well, no, I got hits.
You got hits.
Okay.
Pistons
I got like
in heavy cover.
I think I got 6, but he used his training to get heavy cover out of it, and then
and then danger sense. I think I lost.
I think low profile rules too.
Yes, we did. We played with cover 3.
Oh, yeah,
Well, Pathfinders don't have.
Yeah, they don't have it, but his other stuff did. Some of it.
Okay.
I got a good danger sense roll. So after, because the lat doesn't throw a ton of dice, and so I want to say it was like,
yeah, it was just 2 black or 2 red, 5 black, I think.
And so after cover and
Just
all the
that,
shenanigans, I think I had to make 3 saves, and then I made like 2 out of 3.
No, I don't think you lost anyone on that one.
Did I not lose one? I thought I lost one guy. Anyway.
Well,
it was roll either way.
I shot them with the lat and my bark that was over there and killed one model between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But I had moved once and shot, so then that meant Anakin could hop out later in the turn when things started looking worse because he continued shooting my lat and the saves were pretty good, so I didn't
bought
die.
You a ton of time.
But I was on I was broken and on like 2 wounds at the end of the first turn. Other fronts are just sort of moving up into cover. Han is poking his head out, stuff like that.
But the plan is to have Anakin just airdrop into the mess and mess it, right? I mean, just like...
Yeah, and my first turn play was his new improved 2-pip, which allowed me to order Anakin and the lat he was inside of. I actually just hopped out at the end of the first turn because I was like, I don't really want this.
I don't really want this.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to die. I don't want the lat to die and take a wound.
Well, yeah, and you want Anakin to jump out into the middle of everything, but we're playing intercept disarray, so there's 3 areas that Anakin kind of all has to be. It's not like there's a KP where everybody's gonna nosedive on, or a safe objective and a safe intercept tower and a risky one, like if we were playing major offensive. It was not a great matchup for turn 0 for Anakin to just like hop out and own an area.
Looking back, I probably should have gone for your quote unquote safe one, because then your airspeeders have to have a harder time getting back to him.
One of them does. Wedge does
at least,
wants, but
one of them does. I mean, yeah. I hopped out. I got into some heavy cover. Then turn 2 starts, and I double move charge the paths.
Yep.
And just obliterate them. So then I'm standing on this raised middle point all alone with no dodge. Just like, hey, airspeeders and Ryan's whole list. What's up?
Yeah.
And normally, this goes a certain kind of way. But Anakin decided to save everything.
I was getting so mad.
Ryan was so mad. So, like, I think you had ordered your airspeeders. And so, like, the first one rolls up with an aim and is like, hey, Anakin, here's 6 hits. And Anakin goes, cool, I'll block 5. Take
no dodges, no search tokens,
Ryan's
no tricks, just
triangles. Easy. Ryan's like, okay, well, that's not supposed to happen anyway. And like later on, the other airspeeder comes up and is like, oh, I had to turn weird, so I don't have an aim, but here's still 5 hits because my die pool is insane.
Yeah, it is.
And Anakin says, thank you, sir. I shall block 4.
So you sent me a picture of Anakin riding the lat, and we'll be posting that to the social media.
It's cool.
And then you sent us a picture of 2 T-points pointed at Anakin, and I was like, oh, he's dead. It'll be fine. And then I didn't hear anymore. So then I think later the week I was talking to Will about something else, and I was like, yeah, how'd that game go? He was like, oh, it was a thing.
It was glorious. I made him
like Mando rockets. I'm doing everything I can into Anakin. Like my goal was to get Han into the clone ball and do all this nonsense. Yep. And it just predicated on me acing down a single piece of armor, which my list is incredibly good at, and then just being able to bully a Force user. And you took a choke on your Anakin, which gave my Mandos a really hard time.
Yep, because I just popped that Beskad duelist like, nope, you're not a meme piece anymore, bub. And if I had fought them, that would have mattered. Yeah, because I got
Shriv in my list, whose job is to just fly nearish to the Mandos and make sure they always have a dodge token. That didn't work out. Anakin, after taking my middle point for the first scoring, jumps down and kills Han in one go.
Well, I'd shot Han a little bit, so he was on, I think, 4 wounds left. And so, double move into Han, and just obliterate him, because at that point I'm tenacity for 6 red dice surge crit because I played the 2-pip. And yeah, he was no longer with us.
Didn't get to play any of his cards, so I got, trying to play with Steady Han and got to use 0 of his command cards. That's okay. But
the turn before that,
I did get 4 clones and that felt real good.
You aim moved, shot twice, didn't need the aim, because that's how Han works. If you don't aim, he'll roll a blank, but if you do aim, he'll roll all hits. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Just like Leia's thing. Where the 2 red will have a blank if you didn't aim. Anyway. But yeah, it was, you just picked up, and you terrain scoped a DLT off with that too. Did. So so there was some feel bad of like, no, this guy needs to be dead now.
And I will say, Steady does make terrain scoping a whole lot easier and a lot more worth it to try to set those shots up.
Yeah.
So,
because you had offensive push as well, right?
No, I had. I did have a push. Yeah, you're right, I did.
Yeah, because you used it on that turn to like double move with an aim and shoot me. It's like, oh, I don't like this. I will cut Will some slack here. Like we had talked about a while back about this Lat Anakin list, and I've been obviously playing a version of this list pretty frequently, getting ready for SoCal, and this is a hard match for Will. I'm really good at alpha striking a piece of armor off the table. Han brings a bunch of Pierce who loves to shoot clones. This is 100% an uphill battle for just list archetype versus list archetype for Will to deal with, and I recognize that. And it's a good turn 0 for me. So I've got I think a better list skew. I'm not going to say it's a better list, but a better list skew. A better turn 0 for the way that our lists like to operate. And the dice make it a game, man. The dice made, which I'm glad for. Like, I never want to hey, we organized this game. Will takes the time to invite me into his home, set up his table, and then I just, throw him off the balcony. But get the hell out of here.
So Will rolled some dice in a game that we were playing, and it was really nice dice. And someone that is new to us was like, "Oh, wow, those are really great." She's applauding Will.
Oh,
and Tim and I were like, "No, you don't applaud that." She's like, "What? Those are really good." It's like, yes. But then he will use them against you. The underhanded dice flip roll.
It's all in the wrist.
All right. So did it come down to points, murder kills? What happened?
Yeah, it came down to me finally getting Anakin off the table, picking up the barks, which he was using pretty effectively to harass me. He got my vets pretty early. But I got enough suppression and I got enough unit leaders that he just couldn't contest. It came down to it. I think I only won by 2 points, which was one of the center point on the last score.
Yeah, we played all through. We played all 6, and on the last turn, I had Clone Commander and 3 Phase 1s left, but one of them was just a single unit leader, which Ryan picked off with his sniper, which meant I had another unit that just had to double move towards the middle with Mandos on it, and got it was well, if I roll saves, the game isn't over yet. And then I didn't get enough to not have the game end. So it was well, there we are. So it was still came right down to that, because it's you never know. Ryan might just blank all 6 black dice, or I block it all, or whatever else. So
it has been known to happen.
Yeah, so I had to play for the unlikely dice win, which would have been a thing that happened.
I may have quit Legion
if that had stuck. It's just look, I just crawled my way out of this by blocking everything. Don't look at my dice. They're mine. This is my dice.
Yeah.
You can't have them.
But one of the things I really like about playing with Will, though, is we hung out for maybe an hour and a half after the game and looked at what worked and what didn't. And why I think your list is there's some legs there. And you just have to work out the deployment sequence and the command card sequence.
And I mean, it was my first game with that kind of concept. I'd flown a Lat before, but not with a Jedi in it. I just sort of put some clones in it for fun. And so we talked about maybe some turn 1 shenanigans I can try, or some other things I can do. So I definitely think it has. I think it's a good list. But like Ryan said, ran right into a hard
you
counter
really did.
and still had an all right time of it.
So let me ask you a physical component question.
Uh-huh.
You have a beautiful lat with some troopers kind of scaling off and beautifully painted.
A piece of string.
Did that get in the way of actually
No,
moving the
I
thing?
don't think so.
No, not really.
I mean, it wasn't on the table very
The
long.
lat is like that too. Died on turn 2,
sad.
by the way, for those listening.
Sad.
I think I've shared photos of it now. If not,
You have, and we'll post photos
Okay.
of, because you can see it in the picture where Anakin's riding the lat in.
Yeah.
You can see it very nicely.
there's guys
Will has
rappelling
this
down
same-
from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the ship itself, I just hard glued it onto the peg, which means transporting it like
Is it
to an event will be bad. But
Right.
it means that when I'm moving it, I can like without worry grab the lat model to move the thing, so I don't have to like try to hold the base and not knock one of the dudes off or anything. I can just grab it by the big fins on top and pick it up and put it down.
Gotcha.
So
It is very diorama-esque. Like it has beautiful setup.
If nothing else, you need to bring it just for the intimidation factor of the paint, man. Like, for sure.
the diorama stuff is all within the footprint of the lat model. So, and then it's got that giant base anyway, so it doesn't. There's no extra difficulty besides the inherent difficulty of moving that thing since the base is so gigantic.
It is gigantic, and it sits up tall.
Yes, it's
Like,
on
you can
the
easily kind
it's on the T-47
around.
flight peg, but then it's like 3 T-47s in height. So
Yeah.
of stacked.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a triple stack pancake.
Yeah.
So.
no, but if I don't run into double T-47, I think the armor on it will keep it safe for a 2 or maybe even
Yeah,
turn 3.
and if you can get, like we talked about, like objectives that are going to ball up your opponent more to where you have a better place to drop an aggressive Anakin. Because this is not a passive Anakin list. This is we're going to get in there turn 2, turn 3.
This was force push, force choke Anakin.
So my last 3 games have had force choke. Either I've played it or my opponent has played it, and I had forgotten how good that card is.
Oh, it's so good. You're just like,
It
you
is
there.
so good.
Bloop. So
Yeah, I
I
don't like you
actually
anymore. Die.
there was some consequences from it because on that first turn Anakin hopped out. I was barely in range 1 of the pads, and so I used choke on Biston.
So that means my next
Ooh.
wound.
And that meant that when I shot the pads later, Ryan had to allocate the 1 wound he didn't save right onto Biston and kill him.
Yes,
Since
'Cause
Biston
is not your leader.
Yeah, he's not the unit leader. So 2 wound models that aren't the leader, like Biston, and that's it.
Sad Biston noises.
Yes.
Sad Biston sounds.
He probably should be the leader of that unit squad, but that's a
Because Pow
Pow
does,
is.
right?
Yeah, Pow does.
Yeah.
Everyone else does. Like he really should probably.
Echo
It's
and
him
Fives.
and
I
it's
love
him
it
and
that
Del
it
Mico,
worked for
man.
you this
Biston
time,
and
so
Del
we'll take
Mico.
it, we'll take it.
Oh yeah, Del Mico. Okay, you can also pop Del Mico.
After he's
Yeah,
repaired that.
and if we're
Yeah.
going to see a rise in force choke, which I think very well we may, I do think that's a consideration to take. Like if you're bringing heavy weapon upgrades into a force choke heavy meta, like that's maybe your 20 points are best served elsewhere. I don't know. It's an interesting consequence to think about. So, but before I got to demolish Will with new meta rules, well, I shouldn't say
Demolish, he says.
Yeah, well, it should have been. It should have been.
Oh, it should have been over on turn 3. You're right.
Yeah, I got to spend the weekend in San Diego the weekend before playing
San Diego.
enough Legion for the whole crew here.
German for Wales.
It's true.
I petitioned. The guys did not want to do a 90-minute of just pure battle reports. So I'm sorry, dear listeners. I do want to go rapid fire through all my games because I had a absolute wonderful time. This was the strangest venue. I guess before we get into the games, the strangest venue I've ever played games at. And I've played games in a lot of places.
We have.
Including Street Legion.
It's including Street Legion. So
Including a double wide turned into a store.
So we get to the venue, and the venue is the Del Mar Fairgrounds, and it is a horse racing track, and we are in kind of an event building off to the side. So you're driving in, there's this huge, 5-6 story horse racing hippodrome on one side, and then we're in this big kind of storage facility, and in between the two, there is this little courtyard where they have some food trucks set up that sell like fair food, overpriced coffee. They got a little bar, but then also like flea market-y things. Like there was a guy selling shrubs, just full-on shrubs. You want to buy a
Shrubbery?
shrub? Come down to the Del Mar Fairground horse racing track and leave with a bush.
As a member of the Knights of Knees, perhaps I need to play some Legion and also buy shrubbery.
Right.
It was definitely different, but it was super cool. The weather was great. Got to see people from all over. Stayed with I think I did the math, and I think I've traveled to more Legion events where we've had to like book a room overnight with Alpaz now than I have with you guys. So yeah, I'm just saying. I'm saying step your game up is what I'm saying.
No.
All right.
It actually sounds about right. I'm actually doing the math in my head. That actually sounds about right.
Yeah.
Now, part of that is because we have gone to, like, I can't go to Gen Con, but you can.
Right.
You can go to Adepticon, but I couldn't. Or
for sure.
We've done a lot
one
of
year
partial trips.
we went to 3 different regionals. Like, we all went to regionals. We just went to 3 different ones.
We
And
went to
Al,
Texas without Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, Al, like Brett, is one of our secret members of the podcast.
It's
like,
true.
So we love to see him show up to our
Right.
events, or we show up and he's there. I mean, we love Al. So
Yeah. So it was a really good time. 2 days of Legion. They did similar to what you guys got to play at the Lone Star Open. They did 3 games of Swiss and then a cut to top 8, but then they had a redemption bracket for those like me that didn't make it. I've talked about my list in past episodes: Double T47, Lando, R2, some core, Vets, Mark II, good stuff. I did get to proxy. I finally painted up my Imperial Assault, Chopper and Hera, and ran them as proxies for R2 and Lando. Nearly cut my thumb off the night before the event. It was a good time.
Nice.
Cutting them off their base. I went full Will.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Ryan, if you do not post pictures of your Hera and Chopper, I'm going to post pictures of my Hera and Chopper and claim. Well, I'm just going to say they're mine because I love my Hera paint job.
Yours are painted better than mine. I will like, this was very much a like, crap, I hate the way my Lando's painted because I accidentally painted him like the old man superhero from SpongeBob and didn't realize it till it was over.
Yeah,
Mermaid Man?
Yeah, Mermaid Man. Thank
he
you.
looked a lot like Mermaid Man.
I just wanted to do some fun, interesting, different colors and didn't realize what I did, and then that happened. So I was like,
orange and purple. Hell yeah.
So I was like, let's cut off. Let's do Hera.
Let's cut off my thumb.
Yeah, let's cut off my thumb. It was a good time.
Sacrifice.
I was also a little worried taking double T47s, not necessarily for meta-y reasons, but I'm flying on a plane with multiple layovers, and they're tricky to transport.
They are.
But we made it. Luckily Snyder from the Discord helped me out when one of my pegs snapped off. He had some poster putty there, which was a good call. Instead of like just trying to, I didn't have time to magnetize everything, so break your bases off and just hold them on there with poster putty. Worked remarkably well. And yeah, I got to play 6 games, and this was the first like 6 games in a weekend that I have done in a little minute. For whatever reason, it felt, maybe it was the time change, it felt worse than Atlantic City, which I guess was kind of the same, except I even had a day of judging thrown into Atlantic City. They were good, hard, long days of Legion.
So let's start. You already said that you did not make it to the top tables there.
Right.
You had the redemption bracket on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
Your first game, when you told us what the list you were playing against, I was like, oh man, because it is so very much a list that you play this list. And the fact that, I'm going to spoil it right here, that it was a list that brought you down, there was a little bit of rejoicing in Knoxville. There was. A little schadenfreude for you.
Yeah. Everyone thinks, well, long-time listeners of the show know we do not root for each other.
It's true.
You would think we would be teammates and we would collaborate on various ideas, but instead our group chat is someone posts a list, usually Brett, we all ignore it and then belittle each other.
Yes, that's really... And part of it is an ego thing, because otherwise we would all be ego monsters. Don't get me wrong. I fully admit that about myself. We've seen the ego monster take Will. You've heard Ryan speak for 84 episodes. You understand the nature of his beast.
Yeah, that's true.
And Tim has ego, except when he loses it, but then he has it back for reasons we can't understand because he's only won like one tournament. I don't understand how that works.
Has he won a tournament?
So Tim has.
I don't think he's won a tournament.
Well, it's true. He did go 5-0 in a bracket once. Like it was a thing that someone else let happen. But so we can be ego monsters, and we know that. So we spend a lot of time deflating each other's ego to keep us grounded. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of "Thou art mortal" eaters. So that kind of stuff.
So yeah, my round 1. I don't know that my opponent's list defeated me as much as I defeated myself. It was a really good game. I played Daniel. He was running a double X34. So we had double X34 versus double T47. He had Cassian R2 and then an ATRT, a Tauntaun, a bunch of Rebel troopers with like different sets of upgrades. One of them even had like the Captain DLT. One of them had binos. Like it was this weird, really intricately put list.
This is where I give you the Rock standing and clapping gif. All right.
Yeah.
Heads up, Daniel. This is where I'm giving you, Daniel. I'm giving the Rock. Just
It was.
Can't believe it, but I was
a
amazing.
coolest, and even the X34s were built differently. One of them had the shield bot, one of them had unstable astromech, so they definitely had different vibes. Cassian rode in one of them, just in sniper mode, and then he played volunteer mission and flips it over as he gets closer. It was a pretty cool little idea. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to activate, we're both probably going to play standing orders. I'm going to just try to double tap at the end, try to make one of his X34s slide forward because I have improv orders and he doesn't. And I'm like, surely one of his X34s is going to go before I have to jump with my T47s. And that happens. And Biston gets a shot off on his X34 with shields, and I get to explain how shields and ion work. And then the X34s
that's always a fun talk.
Yeah, the T47s come zooming in, and he just saves a bucket of dice. Like, I should have nailed this first X34 to the wall, and it lives. It goes down to I get the unstable one down to 3 wounds, which is his last one to activate, and he launches it forward. I think maybe it's only got 2 wounds left. It was a very funny series of events where he breaks to where he only gets 1 action, and he's been ioned. So it lurches forward with its compulsory move, fails the suppression roll, so it only gets 1 action, and then its ion takes the other action.
Oh, gross. Been there, done that.
He just kind of shrugs, pulls the pin on the astromech, the unstable astro, fires and blows himself up. He gets a good shot off, but it was just a really strange series of events. He's playing really passive with his Tauntauns. I'm trying to nuke his RT with my Mando rockets. Because there's a lot of we're playing Long March, and it's just this really weird engagement turn, and we're playing Long March Breakthrough with both of us having double speeder, and it comes down to him getting some good crits in, and me trying to pull my T47 around to try to catch a flank and re-engage and still have enough time to dart back into the deployment zone. And he runs one of his rebel troopers underneath my T47 and sets a mine off. The mine rolls a surge and then rolls 4 crits.
Oh, wow.
I take all the damage. All right, I think I block 1. My T47's saves were garbage. And then he's got Cassian with marksman who can plink damage through. He's got rockets on his X34s while they're alive. He's got a surging to crit ATRT. He's got a DLT in his rebel army. So he's got reasonable ways to chip at my T47s. I just can't roll any saves. My second T47 goes down at that point. We end the game with me tying up Tauntauns to make it 0-0 Long March Breakthrough, him winning on kill points. And I go to talk with Bobby, Blood Ocean on the Discord, who I got to meet at Atlantic City, and we're sitting there chit-chatting, and he's like, Ryan, you're stupid. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, airspeeders are immune to range 1 weapons. The mine shouldn't have got you.
Oh.
Yep. I was going to let you bring that up.
And thank you for also forgetting Ben, because it makes me feel less bad. So Daniel had this really cool play of like running and sending his rebel trooper to blow himself up, which he did, to set the mine off and also take me with it. But it shouldn't have worked. So I ended up losing. There were some wild dice everywhere in that game. And kind of like Will's game, I felt like I had a pretty good hard counter to his armor because I brought the double, the best 2 of the best anti-armor pieces in the game. But at the end of the day, I lost me that game because I didn't know how the rules of my list worked. I had really only a couple games with T47s under my belt before going to this tournament. And I paid the price in round 1 for it. And if you only are playing 3 rounds of Swiss, strength of schedule was our tiebreaker. that's pretty much a death sentence for your losing in round 1 for your chances of making top 8.
But it means you can now not give any shits.
Bring forth the beer. Bring forth the beer.
I should have taken some photos. Daniel had this really sweet, like custom-made wooden box with removable shelves for his army and like token trays like built into this wooden box. It was super cool. Handle on
Wow.
it was awesome. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Second game was against Anthony Gonzalez. He said he'd been playing for about 3 months. It was a Maul 6B1's AAT list. Long story short, he aggressively deployed his AAT, and I alpha striked it off the table. And we were playing Hostage. Turn 2, my T-47s, now that there was no longer an AAT around, because Mando rockets, Biston, and then 2 T-47s, and some pretty under-average saves for him, meant that one T-47 got his hostage carrier B1s, the other T-47 got his T-Series commander, and then it's like, well, can Maul and a couple B2s deal with my entire unscathed army? And the answer was no.
Resoundingly no.
So he
Maul's good. He's
after
not
the
that good.
T-Series and the hostage went down, he shook my hand, and we sat, and he was a good sport about it. We sat and talked about like kind of the map and how maybe against this type of list, not deploying your big offensive piece is probably a good idea. Maybe even if it means not shooting the first turn, taking a turn to see which avenue the speeders are going to go. He was a really cool opponent. And I ended the day with the 5th Trooper Network's Technophobia, Lucas, as he has branded himself their most competitive Empire player.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. That's a self-proclaimed title.
Yeah.
That's a title he's given himself.
That's a place to be.
And as he referred to me on their last show, which you guys need to go flame them for, some guy from STABcast.
Wow.
Or maybe it was a STABcast guy. I was like, okay, I see you, Lucas. I see you. We went out to dinner afterwards. I'm going to remember this.
Cold
I may
shoulder.
have made an enemy of the podcast. We'll sit on this and stew. And I've not given that title out yet. But he brought Double Bounty, and I was a little worried about this list. When we get up to the table, it's been a long day. It's both bounty hunters, Imperial officer, 3 snipers, strike teams, and then 4 DLT storms with captains and offensive push. You know, between Boba Rocket and his impact gun and Bosk and 4 DLTs, there's things that can shoot me out of the sky. We end up playing Rollout, and we learned the hard way that Boba with a scout cannot get the center box on Rollout.
Oh.
Yeah. And so Boba makes the leap at the end of turn 1 and doesn't immediately die, but also due to the way the table was set up and Rollout, it gave me a lot of flexibility. I got a lot of out-of-cover shots on Stormies and whittled them down to pretty much just DLTs and unit leaders really quickly. Between Biston surging and infiltrating and taking the map, I just kind of gobbled up the center of the table. Boba had to retreat off, and I kind of bullied him, took my 3 boxes, and then kind of retreated back, and there was this big open no man's land kind of in the middle that he was going to have to poke out from if he wanted to try to get my box carriers. He screwed up turn 0 by giving me the wrong deployment, paid the price for it. So the most competitive Empire player from 5th Trooper can't stand up to the competitive Rebel player from STABcast. Take that for what it's worth.
Ooh. Maybe he's still salty about the game. That's why he doesn't remember your name. That's
probably true.
Yeah.
And then we got to the probably the best part of my trip to SoCal. That was dinner after day 1. We went out to some Mexican joint. There were 10 players. There were 10 people at our table. 9 players. David Endless from Yavin Base came out and hung out with us. He was just casting that weekend. And 5 of the 9 players there all had Biston on our list. So we went to a Mexican restaurant, all got margaritas, and now I've concluded that it is our first official meeting of the Church of Biston. And we took Holy Communion, and in the Church of Biston, you take Holy Communion with margaritas now.
So long-term listeners know this. Newer listeners may not. We just go to these events so we can eat better food.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Most of our highlights of all these trips are not our wins. It's not the things that happened. And then dinner was awesome. And then we had a cool breakfast. I mean,
yeah.
When we're talking about future events, New Orleans, we're really just going for the food and meeting people that we like to play games with. And if we play games, cool. But if not, we can hang out with people just having dinner. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had an opening. When we brought our food, we said grace and we thanked Biston for his dauntlessness and giving us a sense of any danger that might come.
That's a little close to heresy for a man who went to a religious school. But
it was a lot of fun. We traded stories of what our Bistons had done that day. I think Izzy had managed to punch some Wookiees to death with his Biston.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. So we've had our first official church meeting. And then we ate some tacos and went and played more Legion the next day. For me, the redemption bracket. Starting off with Gabriel. It was a bit of a kitchen sink CIS list. It was Maul B2s with the ACM gun, not the Ha gun.
Okay.
T-Series. 3 full sets of BX commandos with swords. Okay. And a set of destroyer droids. Like, just kind of everything.
I like that. Like, you're not really sure where to look. Like, that's
yeah.
Like, the ACM I get, because you're just throwing lots of dice, and points allow you to kind of pull that off. Like, you're throwing, 3 reds with that, which is nice to get those hits. I mean,
that makes it triple rainbow,
Yeah.
3 red, 3 black, 3 white. Yeah.
Which is nice.
So we get to playing, and it is, I get breakthrough, which is not great for his list because it means he's not getting just to stand there and shoot me. I forced a wide deployment. It was an objective that I got to spread him wide on, and I got to take fights that I really wanted to. And my airspeeders were really good for spreading a list out because I can hammer a flank and then move to the next one very, very quickly. And like BXs with swords are cool and all, they'll still melt to double airspeeder. Because they kind of suffer from the Mando problem that they're only 4 wounds and you fail enough saves and you don't have a great way to generate surge tokens because I've spread them out from the rest of the army. Biston's sitting there just cackling as he shoots destroyer droids, turning their shields off. And I got my airspeeders along the back line pretty quick, and at that point it was kind of over. But it was a lot of fun. It was a fun game, leading me to Alpaz. It had to happen. We're playing 6 games. Me and Al have to meet. Once again, the last time me and Al played at a tournament during a redemption day, played intercept transmissions, me thinking I can bully Rexstar off of a center point for the second and third scoring.
Why do you think that, by the way?
I like
really
to play
hard to believe those guys
because I'm red. I don't want to play hostage. Because once again, we're still using the old rules. We're not playing 4-card flip, red player picks side. We're still under the old RRG. And it was the objective that I had that was going to spread him out the most.
Right.
I catch Rex out with my airspeeders, with 2 shots from airspeeders and 2 shots from Biston. He's got 2 surge tokens across all of those attacks. No other tokens to spend. He takes like 3 wounds. Al was saving like Will, except not just on Anakin, but across his whole army. And my army lacked a lot. Like, it had a lot of firepower, but it lacked the Rebel trademark of Pierce. And I just could not chew through Al's activations fast enough. Because I really wanted to knock out his rocket squad, knock out his Rex, and then just have T-47s hunting strike teams to really chew that activation count up. And Al's dice just could do no wrong. He did a really cool, and I knew it was coming, and I was like, it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna kill me. A turn to Rex shooting an airspeeder, getting fire supported by his rocket squad.
Ooh.
And I was like, there's impact too, and he'll maybe get a surge for Rex's surge crit, and I can take 3 to 4 wounds, just 3 natty crits before any aim tokens or any conversions. He just rolled the dice.
So did he knock that T-47 off?
Right out of the sky. Yeah, one of my T-47s shot once.
We find out that Ryan is playing Alpaz, which of course I immediately sent him a message saying, kick his ass, Al.
Yeah.
In fact, my actual quote is, may the podcast be filled with Slowoski's lamentations, the gnashing of his teeth, and the tearing of clothes as he recounts his loss to the great and mighty Paz. And this was Al's game plan. We'll see. I'm banking heavily on the Rex fire supporting with the rocket squad to maybe take out one of his airspeeders. From there, it gets easier.
To maybe take out. Like, I was expecting
that was his game plan he sent me before
twice.
you guys actually played.
Yeah.
And then I heard nothing. And then like 10 hours later, it was like, it was glorious.
Yeah, so Al just outright bullied me off the table. It's always fun to play Al. I was mad. I'm not gonna lie. I was mad just because I couldn't save anything. My airspeeders rolled 0 saves on the day. Every time a crit went up against them, they took it. He was rolling well above 50 on his reds, and like it was still token sharing. So when he did have tokens, he could turn a lot of my tricks off. And I definitely felt the lack of Pierce in my list, with Lando really being my only source at range, and then I had the Mandos, and I still almost made a game of it with a late game kind of Mando push into the middle, but Al got me. So I dropped game 2. Got a list I was not expecting to see game 3. And it's a list I was really worried about parts of and not so worried about others, and it was Maul Dooku in the same list. But to fit Maul Dooku, you've got to have just a bunch of B1s to back it up. There was like a BX sniper and the Sith probes to kind of round it out at 10 activations.
Not a lot of meat.
There's not a lot of meat after the Force users. But I don't have a lot of great answers to those. We were playing on like a Theed cityscape map. Dooku doesn't have jump. My Lando has ascension cables, and he aggressively infiltrates his Maul on rollout. And it's I don't think Austin had quite thought. He thought he put him someplace safer than he was, because I got 2 big shots into Dooku on his infiltrate turn, which means he can't attack back. I didn't kill him, but I put him on like 2 wounds, and I think Maul activated once through his lightsaber and then died. Dooku's got a danger. Yeah, Dooku's got a ranged attack, but he wasn't rolling a ton of hits and crits. And then once Maul was gone, I just sent my Mandos after Dooku and tried to pick at him from range, and the T-47s on breakthrough just went through and shoot some B1s up. When B1s don't have a lot of cover, because we're on a pretty city street heavy where there's a lot of line of sight blockers and not a lot else, with Wedge, who can just kind of whip and nay anywhere he wants to be, I was having a clam of a time cleaning up B1s, and it was a really rough game for him. But it was a tough matchup, a tough table for him, playing breakthrough with Dooku, and then I think if he would have deployed Maul, 6 inches further back, I couldn't have just scoped him off the table. But he was playing with a broken knee from the get go, and he was a really good sport about it. So 6 games in SoCal, it was a lot of fun. Definitely would recommend going back to that tournament next year if you're able to.
So I'm kind of interested. You had there are 9 Separatist players in the entire event out of 45, and you managed to find 3 of them.
Yeah, and the others were in the top 8.
Like, he's kind of amazing. Like just how that. Again, this is the thing about, you can have the greatest list in the world, but the tournament pairings really do they influence heavily where your day goes. Mm-hmm. You can have a great list and then somehow lose all the games despite that, or a list that's okay, but your matchups make it so and it kind of assists you in that. So
yeah, the faction breakdown for that event was there was like 18 rebels or something like that, and I only played 1 mirror match. So it was weird, but it was a really fun event. I had a really good time. Strange venue, but absolute joy to play at.
Nice. Well, as you all know, Ryan doesn't take photos when he's playing because he's too busy running that mouth.
You're right.
You won't catch a lot of cinematic photos from there. We may steal some things if we can find some shots of Ryan in the background from SoCal.
I got a photo on turn 1, I believe, of every game except for my last one, just because my brain was on empty.
Like models and setup, or just the deployment? Like
the models. I got all the battle cards, and then I tried to get some shots, like because snow speeders look so cool on tables.
Well, in that case, check out our Instagram at STABcast, where I'm now making Ryan post photos of his event at SoCal.
I'll forget. You'll have to remind me Wednesday.
I will remind you a couple times.
Oh, we'll all forget. Yes.
We'll get Will to post some photos that he sent me of his Anakin, because it looks beautiful sitting on top of that lat. Some games from there. So yeah, check us out on the Instagram at STABcast.
Be sure to also check us out on the Facebook and the Twitters. Give us a rating on the iTunes or a subscribe on the Spotifys or whatever it is that Google Podcast does.
The Google Cast. I mean, listen, it's
sure.
fine. At least they didn't rename themselves to Meta. It's fine.
Right, yeah. We're available wherever you can find us, and we appreciate it wherever you do at SW STABcast.
You can check us out on the Legion Discord. Mostly it's been a lot of lamentation. There's been a lot of gnashing of teeth. I read it, but don't comment all the time. We're there. Like, you can always find us. You can tag us in things. We tend to respond to it. I watch a lot of these online games. I know that they've had some events going on. In fact, Ryan was just playing in such an event just the other day.
Wow.
I'll save. You guys can listen to the Fifth Trooper. I played Kyle for our IL elimination match. It was a hard matchup for me. I screwed up turn 0 and then got diced off the table. Kyle didn't make any mistakes for me to kind of try to gain an advantage from. So kudos to him. Hopefully he'll make a run with his Republic Wookiees. I played terribly. As you can tell, I'm a little under the weather. I wasn't thinking straight. It was a good game. Kyle's always a fun opponent.
If you're in a place where you can't get to, have local players, maybe you live in a little bit more rural place, you just don't have a Legion scene, the Discord is a great place to get that Legion fellowship, to laugh, to joke, to see people cry about things I think that aren't that important, but then cry about things that are important. But also, like, you can join the Discord and figure out how to play on TTS. You can still get games in there. It's a great place for the Legion community online from around the world.
Speaking of places around the world, do the thing at the store and buy fanny packs and send us emails at STABcast@gmail.com.
Do those.
It finally feels like we're back. I don't want to curse it and say, like, that we
close your damn mouth.
That travel is opening back up again. But
don't say it. Why, you just said it. Why you said you weren't going to say it.
In December, we've got New Orleans. In January is LVO. In February is the Cherokee Open that Frontline Gaming just announced. And we're going to be hosting the Legion event there, because if we're hosting New Orleans, you bet your bottom dollar we're going to host the place that's 6 hours closer to us than New Orleans. So I think technically I'm heading that one up. Be definitely a group effort. I really want to kind of go out for this one, because you guys are going to come to our neighborhood. And then for Memorial Day weekend, we're going to do the Rocky Top Game Con like we did last year. And we've got a new venue, bigger space. Working on all the details with Steven on that. We had 12 players last year, so mark your calendars for that weekend if you're local. Or if you're not local, I'm hoping to have I think we're looking at a 32-man event across 2 days. So
that'd be awesome.
We're going to see what we can get going for that. Adepticon is also in March.
Yeah, you skipped over Adepticon there. How rude.
Well, I mean, we skip. All we know is there's Legion at Adepticon. For all we know, it's doubles and skirmish.
Yeah, I mean, we have. They announced a date for event tickets, right? Isn't that December?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
December
but we don't know what the events are going to be.
Oh, no.
We'll be there. Probably.
I got a hotel room already. It's already set up. Like, I've got one. So we'll just see what happens that weekend. This year happens to fall on my spring break, which is nice because now I can go. Yeah. Last year it did not, or the year before, but before the COVID, it did not fall.
The last time that it happened.
Yes, last time it was actually
in 2019.
So that's an out of state tournament for us every month except for April. I guess Rocky Top isn't out of state, but it's a big event for us every month except for April. So if you've got an event going on in April that you want us to try to make, no promises, but let us know.
And then, I mean, we might see an ATC announcement in the next few months about that.
I hope so.
Down
in Cleveland,
Would love for that to come back.
We'll see what's going on, but there's a lot to look forward to. Yeah,
there's a lot going on. Then we start all over again with the Dallas Open and do the circuit again. So
the circuit.
Speaking
of looking forward to the future, we have the news.
The news. You know, in our last episode, we said we're always behind on the news. Like, that's how the STABcast operates. We're 2 weeks behind the cutting edge. But the last 6 months, we've actually been on top of it. And it felt unnatural to us. And then we realized the RRG was dragging his feet. I was like, it's because we haven't released an episode where we predicted. So then it can come out after we do it. And sure enough, we recorded that episode on a Monday. I edited it on a Tuesday. They dropped it Tuesday afternoon. So,
you're welcome.
AMG, we know you're avid listeners. If you want some autographed merch, just hit us up. Send us an email. We know we're a big deal, but we're actually very approachable.
The fact that Will's the one who said the punchline is the part
that's
that
what
gets
I love
me the most.
Because I think it was at LSO you were talking about it was weird that people recognized you.
Oh, yes.
If you guys want to freak Will out, go up to him. Don't introduce yourself. Just ask him about his cat. Ask him about Daisy.
Like,
Yes.
she's good. Who are you?
Why do you know about my cat? Please step away from me, sir. Stranger danger, stranger danger.
Well, that's the
That's
time
my
Will
purse.
maced a listener. Like with a mace, not spray. Like just
Yeah,
bonk.
just an actual bonk.
Never leave home without your tournament prep mace. You never know when you might have to crusade.
Y'all have had some time to digest a lot of these changes, so we're not going to cover them in detail. That's not the kind of podcast we are anyway.
Pop some Tums. Get
Yeah,
over it.
there's other people who have gone through all the spreadsheets
Yeah.
and said more math things than we can.
We can't
But-
count or read, so
Or, yeah, so I mean, you're just here for the hot takes and the fun that we have. But, we're pretty smart about these things. But like Will said, take some Tums and get over it. Like, these are the changes for now. These are the changes that we have coming up. There'll be more things.
That's bold coming from the CIS player. Yeah.
yeah, the guy
So
that didn't have
I know.
anything bad happen to him.
Listen, nothing. Fine. I understand the gnashing of teeth. I do, and it's not the gameplay that you're used to. And I'm saying this, and part of it's because I'm on a soapbox because I'm having some struggles at work with some teachers who are struggling to get past the COVID grief. Like, there's some emotional stuff tied up in this, and it's coming out in weird ways. Same thing's happening in Legion. Same thing is happening in X-Wing right now. They are losing their brains on the internet. And guys, it will be okay. The game isn't dead. The game isn't even dead yet. Like, we're not going to 2.0. Like, there have been changes. And yes, it's a different group of people. And maybe it's not changes you wanted or expected. I promise you it'll be okay.
Yeah.
No model has been invalidated. Your years of gameplay and paint have not been destroyed. AMG did not sneak into your house and burn your stuff. It'll
You
be
still
okay,
have
guys.
the friends you made.
You still have the friends you made along the way, and you can still play the game. And like I said, it's nothing I think is fundamentally broken here. So it'll be
No.
okay, guys.
And I
It
actually
will
really
be
love
okay.
like almost all of these changes. My biggest hot takes and hiccups aren't the things that they changed; it's the things that they didn't. But I guess we'll kind of get into that in a minute.
And so
but
here we go.
I'm
We're going to talk
actually-
about what everyone really wants to hear about.
Yeah.
The new release dates for
Nice.
the
Man, way to jump the shark.
yeah.
Because I will say the RNG changes don't matter a whole lot until we actually get new things. So
Uh,
Will, what
I-
are
a lot
those
of them
new
I
matter.
things?
disagree.
A lot
with
of them
that,
matter,
but
Ben.
A lot of
I
them
know for
matter,
your
Ben.
faction it doesn't matter
Yeah.
much.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. A lot of my stuff has. In fact, none of my list changed points. I actually went to go look. and pulled up
My primary faction changed its entire core concept. That's fine.
which you are going to have a harder time implementing until you get the newest stuff.
No, not really. It's
I
fine.
actually think Will's going to be ahead of the curve because I think like Jedi-led lists are
no
going
one's
to
ever
be
said that
become
about me.
a cool thing.
It's true.
And,
I mean-
and Will's been playing like Obi and now Anakin and like lightsaber Republic
Yeah,
for a while.
I never really sat. I played a Rex Star once, and I was like, "Yep, this is a thing. I don't like it. Like, it's
Yeah.
good. I don't have fun with it."
And your token sharing has always been through Exemplar. Because I'm like, why can't I shoot that Padme who's behind all those giant walls? She's giving away all the things. Oh, look, Anakin's also giving away all the things.
Look, there's just something very nice about an ATRT range 2 from Padme spending her dodge to block a Mando rocket. All right.
That is so wrong on 1,000
I know,
levels.
you died of fire. All right.
So, what are our release dates? Will?
Yeah, let's get this
because
out of the
that's
way.
important.
Oh well, if I had them, I'd tell you.
we have release dates. They're coming out the
It's
Black
in
Friday,
December.
Black Friday and the weekend after.
After Black Friday, the stuff
If
except
that all
Yoda.
hits, they will be legal for the New Orleans Open because I said so. Except for Wookiee Warriors and Yoda are still MIA.
Yeah,
I'm
those are
hoping
somewhere.
That means maybe they'll come out before. Maybe not. I don't know.
So for our international listeners, because we know we got you, Black Friday is the Friday after the American Thanksgiving, which is
Right.
a big shopping holiday in the United States. So a lot of people tend to be shopping the day after we, have our food. And feel
It's another
thankful.
thing
So-
Christmas has interjected way earlier
Yes.
itself.
Yeah.
So that's the 26th and the 3rd, respectively. But yeah, we don't know when Yoda and Wookiees will show up. So, and I honestly feel like, especially for Republic, a lot of those other upgrades or new pieces don't matter unless Yoda and Wookiees show.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all solid, I think. I mean, I think the infantry support thing is good on its own.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you can fly Fluttercraft for fun and profit. Just have them around.
It'll
I
be a
think
weird profit, but it'll be interesting.
I think the real thing is to have Wookiee Commander and the Wookiee Special Forces come out, which will all be at the same time. So that's fine that they'll be a package thing. Like They're the ones that you want together, I think.
No, but the special forces are lost on the boat. The Wookiees are.
Yeah, but so is the...
Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying.
So is the commander. So
Yes.
we don't know when we
Gotcha.
get them, but when we get them, we'll have both of them at the same time. So it's all
Yeah.
good, sort of, in a weird way, eventually.
Like the Spanish Inquisition, Wookiees do just kind of appear from the air and then take down an army.
It looms over all of us.
The frustrating part for me is there's 2 boxes that I need. I need Wookiees for battle shields.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm going to buy a Yoda for burst of speed.
Oh, I thought you meant
And
for
those are the
Force
things that are missing.
Yes, Troll Will has entered the episode.
Lift. Force Lift is the most broken card on there. They had to send it back to the printer to fix that card. They knew it was going to break the game.
Yeah, it would break the game wide open.
Scooting that barricade, range 1 or however the hell it works away is very busted. Clearly.
So I will acknowledge to Will that yes, the rules change has fundamentally changed a lot of how clones work. I do think the new releases though will change how my faction works for the CIS. Those new units I'm getting are very different playstyles and add a lot of.
I guess that's all the time I get. All right.
Well, hold on, Ben. Hold on here. So you're saying, man, Will, I'm sorry, your faction has to fundamentally change because what they were doing was too damn good.
Yes.
But now my faction is going to fundamentally change and was doing fine because it's going to get better. Man,
Yes.
These are the same thing.
Yep.
Yes,
you
that's
can
that's
go
exactly what I said.
screw right off, Ben.
we were going to have a whole ceremony of abdication, but no. You're going to have to throw the throne out with me.
I don't
I'm
know why I'm
staying
hearing
on
this
it.
echo. Those are exactly the things I said.
It was the framing device you used to say we're the same.
These rules changes. The biggest rules changes we've actually already mostly talked about.
Red player change we've already talked about.
That change to the opening I find very interesting way. It's adapting a lot of people's ideas on how to change turn 0.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see it play out a little bit more.
Yeah. I think 6 points is going to be an extreme bid now. I think bids still matter, especially in some lists, but there's some lists that aren't going to care about bids. But this is nipped. We're not going to see 30-point bids anymore. From the actual rules update, low profile, not worthless anymore. Holy crap, this is amazing.
That's a huge change.
I don't know that we didn't really cover it in our bat rep, but it was really annoying to have Han say, I'm going to block 3 and I have a dodge that's actually blocking 4.
And then I'm going to uncanny luck, yeah.
Yeah.
Low profile has been reworded to where if you have cover, increase that cover. The wording on it is interesting from a judge perspective because blast still gets around it. It's not like the old one where you increase your cover if you have light cover, to where it still might stack in weird ways. Yeah, so now as long as you've got cover, you can get up to cover 3. And there's a lot of cool uses where units that, we can count really on one hand the number of units that have low profile. The Galactic Civil War, Commandos, Scouts, Han, Jin for 1 turn. Anybody else? Is that it? Are we just at 4?
Yeah, I think that's it.
The supply card that gives camouflage isn't worthless anymore. That's
going to be spooky.
Can be situationally really good.
Yeah. I think it's a discard to get it once, but yeah.
Yeah. Duck and cover came down in points at the same time.
Yep.
If you are low profile, want to give yourself the suppression token to increase your cover. Now you've got cover 2, plus the low profile will then cancel additional hit.
Let's extrapolate that one step further. We also had a change in the RRG to how smoke grenades work. The smoke token still works the same, but now it's an expend and a free action, which was always my problem with it. That it took one of your actions to pop smoke. So now you can have something with low profile and duck and cover have pretty much instantaneous heavy cover anywhere they want it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because you shoot, you pop smoke, and then when you get shot back at, you take a suppression token with duck and cover, and now you've got cover from suppression, cover from smoke, and then extra cover from low profile. And it's you just laugh as you cancel 3 hits while standing in the open.
Smoke grenades they went up a point. They're now 3 points.
Yeah,
if you got that extra space and if bids are coming down, I can see spending it. I
can see taking one, absolutely.
Not against it at all.
So that this low profile has it's going to help it's going to help the units listed. When I made my initial assessment of Steady Han, I didn't know about this change, and so steady is going to help Peekaboo Han play quite a bit. Low profile is going to help Landspeeder Han a ton, because Landspeeder Han now just running around with heavy cover all the time. Blocking 3 hits is going to be real annoying. I also want to see someone put a full scout team with a saboteur in a gav tank and just throw grenades out the window.
Oh, I've never thought. Tim will never play it, so I must.
It works. It's an open transport.
Oh, that's a thing. Yeah, it is a thing.
Ooh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Empire players. So yeah, low profile. Chef's kiss. So good. Anything else from the RRG stand out to anybody?
There's a big change that we've already talked about, and the internet's going wild over. But Will, you've played one game with this change.
Yeah, the time has come. My throne. I gracefully descend the steps and take off my crown and put it back on, because this really isn't that bad. Come on, get over it, I guess. It's still, when you might use a token, a clone can use a single token from a unit at range 1 as if it was its own. So while attacking or defending, you can spend 1 from a friend instead of any number of any tokens. It's 1 of anything. Green.
And I still like this thematically. I still think it doesn't... I like it. It's a change I advocated for, so maybe that's why I like it. But I still think it lets you do the things without being the overwhelming, I spent 5 aim tokens from 4 different units.
Right.
Yeah. There was always something not fun about watching your opponent say, I've got 6 aims and 3 surges here. I roll my 18 dice. 17. You know.
Yes.
Like, it takes 10 minutes for them to spend all the aims and reroll it. And I say 10 minutes, it's only a few, but it feels that way watching it happen. Yeah, I think it keeps the kind of token sharey, weird little mechanics of clones going, where it's like other factions, you're like, I have an action left over, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, oh, well, I'll aim because those guys haven't shot yet. You know, you can still do some fun stuff there. Mm-hmm. And you can still have guys get effectively 2 aims because they're like, have their own aim and spend 1 from a friend, or have their own aim and spend a surge. You know, it's still really pretty good.
And you guys still have your 2 exemplar units?
Yeah, that too. I mean, exemplar has, gotten so much better in value because now it's, you can still standby share with it too. Don't forget.
Yes.
So Padme and Anakin both have that. Yoda has a way to do it, right? Or is that not happening?
He can guidance things onto people with exemplar. So I think like Yoda Padme is going to be a list.
Oh yeah, that's true. He can make Padme double quick thinking. Oh god.
Yeah. So.
Oh god. Okay. Anyway,
but Yoda's giving out dodge tokens to trooper units where they get outmaneuver and relentless.
That's true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Now this update does. Not to get too ahead of ourselves, but it does feel bad for the clones because you do get hit with this. The points changes honestly aren't as mean to you as I thought they were going to be.
Well, because of this, I think.
There are still some meaningful hikes, though.
Oh, yes, there are. And not to be snark about it, but a lot of them are on things that I didn't play very much.
Sure.
I don't know if we had like an episode where I went into it, but I never really played sniper strike teams for Republic very often. I think I played them a few times, and they were good. I'm not saying they were a bad choice. I've never been good with the snipers, and I know they were easy snipers. They had move and tactical and could shoot. I know. Something about 2 wounds, just mine got plucked off the table so often that I just didn't like it, and I started bringing naked barks instead, and now I think that's a lot more legitimate because of some changes that have happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's go talk about this point changes. Let's go ahead.
Let's just do Republic. All right, let's do Republic.
Yeah, Republic time. Play the song, boys.
So let's talk about, again, we have always been contrarians at this podcast. Like, we've been known for that. In our X-Wing days, we were known to be people who didn't fly traditional list at all. And Will is very much a fair and fair play kind of guy. So he does not like to play the meta. And he doesn't like to play things that just don't feel good for anybody on the table.
Yeah, it's less of
that's part of it.
That's meta, and more of a, am I having fun? Is my opponent having fun? Right. It's a game for 2 people to enjoy at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm not here to stomp the face of someone and be like, haha, victory validates me. Like,
right.
And not saying anyone else is.
Right. And so Will tends to play lists, one that he likes, lists that are fun for everybody involved.
Right.
Until
I try to, yeah. Like Ryan said, I've been playing a lot of Jedi, a lot of Obi-Wan, especially. I haven't played much Legion since Lone Star, so all my stuff is from last summer. So this summer previously. So it's like, but nothing really changed till now. A lot of barks, a lot of weird stuff. And so the update, I feel pretty solid about it. But what we have is a decrease to Anakin and some other buffs for him, which I greatly appreciated. I know Anakin was in a weird spot.
Gets to order another trooper, which is actually really impactful.
Yeah, my reference during our intro there was because Anakin's 2-pip now orders him and someone else. It used to just be
really
Anakin.
good.
Now it's Anakin in one unit, and then in addition to Surge Crit and Master of the Force, he gains Defend 1.
Which is pretty big because of the timing on when that happens. And I know Vader and Luke, when they got their operative upgrade packs, like it's now great because I now have 3 Luke cards that start him with a dodge token.
Yeah.
But now that you play that card and theoretically every turn you get to start with a dodge token is humongous.
It is giant. I'll be honest. Like I would murder whole swaths of Jedis with my Grievous in order to get that ability. Like that's a fantastic ability.
But Ryan, there was something we didn't talk about in our bat rep. You actually denied me a Defend 1 dodge by playing Anakin's Flaw card on me.
Oh, wow.
Well,
because Anakin survived 8 shots.
Yeah, because Anakin just refused, Endurance Anakin just refused to die. So it was kind of like, I got to play his Flaw.
I ended the round with 6, went down to 4 because of Endurance. And then Ryan was hoping I wouldn't get 2 actions, and then I rolled his 4 dice and got 3 symbols and was like, "I'm fine, haha!" So, for anyone who may have been burned by Ryan's rally dice, you're welcome.
Yeah, Michael Henry.
Yeah. So I really appreciate the Anakin changes. Those are really solid.
I think it makes him way more playable than people are really giving him credit for.
I am considering him now along with Obi-Wan, not necessarily together, though that is a list. But if I look at a Jedi, it's not just, oh, I'm playing Obi-Wan. It's, oh, do I play Anakin? I have to think about it. What am I going to do with it? That kind of thing. ATRT has gone down by 5, so that's something.
That is a change that
I got
is boggling my mind. And I knew Ryan would have thoughts on it. I'm not sure why the point decreased. Is it just to get people to play them more?
I think so.
It's because no one's taking them. It's because the bark is going to get cheaper.
I'm really tempted by my old Anakin double flamer bark or flamer RT list.
I mean, because the flamer also went down by 5.
It did.
RT went down by 10.
Yeah, we can kind of talk about the upgrades as we go. So RT went down 5. Flamer went down 5. The other weapon stayed at 20, I believe.
Yes, they did.
Rex has gone up from 90 to 100.
Praise the Lord. And not only that, I think almost maybe even more importantly, take that Clankers.
Take that Clankers.
Most abusive, unfun cards in the game.
It really is sometimes. But they have now altered it. Pray they do not alter it further.
It feels much more fun and fair now, because I think cool command cards should require a little bit of wind up to do a cool thing.
Yeah.
In old Take That Clankers, you could literally hide behind a building, play TTC, and come out and just decimate your opponent's army with a big turn 2 swing.
Yep.
And it wasn't fun because there was one of the things you'll hear me talk about a lot is I really like counterplay, and there was no counterplay to that card.
Nope. You just had to walk into it or wait, and then you lost a turn. I mean, yeah.
So it reminds me of when Rex first came out and there was only phase 1s, and something that happened a lot was that Ryan especially would kind of bravery control me out of a Take That Clankers, because now that's basically the option, because you have to take the aim action on your turn in order to gain the benefit. And you must be a clone trooper.
Yeah.
Which affects certain people's interpretations of what they might do with the new units.
Honestly, I think it thematically fits, because you got your guys, your Z6s and stuff, standing on the hill, winding their shots up.
Yeah.
To get the extra range instead of just coming out screaming from behind the building.
I know I'd done it a few times or having arcs walk up and get their range 2 pistols to range 3, meaning they were throwing a bucket of dice instead of just some black dice. It gets that tactical out of there, or...
they didn't make any changes to hostage exchange, but that kind of helps. This Take That Clankers changes how the hostage exchange plays out.
Yeah, not changing hostage did surprise me. For the generics, I guess, the tangent real quick, War Weary got fixed to where it's now affected by field commanders. So it's not just commander rank things. It's any courage bubble that you would use. You can only use it at range 1.
Which is a good change. That's a good change there.
It's a great change. I think that's the only battle card change, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I do think for the many things he did, 90 points was always undercosted. I still think at 100,
he's still competitive. Yeah,
he's still competitive. I still think he's competitive.
You just have to think about it.
Like 5s has finally gone up. Didn't go up a whole lot. But like he finally went up where he should have been.
There's a lot of things that people have been saying for a while, like why is this the way it is, and things have been remedied a lot. Generic commander went up 5 just to kind of
not
enough, but for the order printing, it's still stupid cheap. Yeah. Like I had one in my list against Ryan the other day. It was still good, still really good,
still real good.
And then we get some cool things here. The lat went from 120 to 105.
That is amazing.
It is amazing.
Wild. It's a huge swing, and in a good swing. Like the lat to cram it into a Republic army where they didn't have as many cheap options as the Empire did to kind of work around that big heavy is. I think it's absolutely fine.
When I was looking at lat lists a while ago when it first came out, it was so expensive. It was like, why not just shave a few more points and just bring a saber tank? You know, like. If they're going to be like only 30 points difference, like I'd rather have the giant 11 wound red save armor unit than the or 9 wound red save, you know. Like it just felt weird trying to list build for it because it was 140 something points that often just got blown up.
I think they're always afraid that heavies are going to be better than they are. What they test. So I ran through all 4 factions right now. There are only 2 heavies that have gone up in cost or stayed the same. Every other heavy has dropped dramatically in points.
I mean, just look at the T-47 when it started out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the T-47 took 2 years to get there, but yeah.
It did. But you went from 175 to 130? Is that what that number is?
But also the numbers have gotten super bloated. Like just when they showed us that the AAT is going to have 11 red wounds or 9 red wounds, whatever it is. Like, that's crazy. And I think part of it is because heavies have to be so hard to test for, because it's one of those things kind of like in me and Will's games where you've got an answer or you don't. I had an answer to Will's lat. Will did not have a great answer to my airspeeders outside of Anakin saber throw.
Right.
Didn't really want to use because he had other things he wanted Anakin to do. And so it is the heavy armor, and I shouldn't say just the heavy slot, but the armor slot is probably one of the most rock paper scissory things we have in this game right now. And and I don't say that as a bad thing. It's a thing that you've got to learn and adapt with. And just like we say with Force users, you got to have, not in your army, but you got to have an answer to. You have to have a plan.
I'm okay with them playing with those numbers to make, because I'd rather them be conservative to start when they release, and then like, oh nope, this has got to get fixed.
As long as
the T-47 should have been fixed years ago.
Yeah.
As long as it's timely, it should have been fixed a long time ago.
And now, for much rejoice, the magic trash can himself, R2D2.
Yes.
From 45 to 55.
Yeah, that feels
up another 10.
It kind of hurts. I've been playing a little bit more R2 lately.
Remember when he was 35? Dear Lord.
Remember when he was 35? Oh, look, I had some extra
what
points
sort of madness did we live in?
It's a victory point for 35 points was always too cheap. Come on, guys.
You could bring him and 3PO for less than just R2 costs now.
So I almost thought that that this wasn't quite enough. When you look at 55 points like for the VP, but then I started. I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, Will. I started list building, and those 10 points in that slot, at least for me as a rebel, boxes R2 out of a lot of things.
And it's even worse for clones because now, like
I was going to say, he's the cost now of an actual core unit.
Yeah.
Where in Rebels, he's still 10 points higher than most of your core stuff.
When R2 first came out, it was like, oh, cool. I can get that 9th activation now for clones because there was nothing.
Right.
He was the cheapest thing in the faction and still was until now because he's 3 points more than a naked phase 1, which, looking at that equivalency, is a freaking joke. But it's also opportunity. yada yada. It's fine how it is.
Opportunity cost. You fire supported with R2D2. It'd be fine.
Yes, I have. It was hilarious. Anyway, yeah, I think this is a solid thing to do. We'll see if he's still broken once you find a space for him, but it's getting harder to, like Ryan says.
It's getting a lot harder.
It's rough. I didn't bring him in my Anakin lat, even though he could have been hanging out behind the lat fixing it. It's just like I don't know. It's just harder to squeeze him in, and you want him to be something you have to think about rather than, oh yeah, an R2, obviously.
Yeah. Now here's my hot take.
Yeah.
3PO should have come down.
Ooh,
I wish they could make Rebel 3PO go down, but not mine. Because R2 3PO Padme is still a thing.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. All those tokens.
It's not as spooky for the Rebels because like the great R2 delivery device that is the X-34, you have to wait for 3PO to die before you can get in.
Yeah, no, I think that's why Rebel 3PO should go down because he's not taken very often from what I've seen.
Yeah, no, he's really not.
I saw him in one Lone Star list to like feed Cassian and K2 even more tokens for some reason. And it was like, neat. Cassian sure does have 7 aims.
And it was I think it was probably worth it for a while, but now that we've got Shriv and an unorthodox tactician and like Rebels for a long time didn't have ways to generate tokens, and now that we're getting some other ways to do it.
Yeah.
3PO just seems like a pretty bad option because especially in Rebels and now that R2 is going up in cost, Rebels have the most competitive operative slots. Like no one else is really taking double operatives except for like double bounty. You can't take R2 like if you're taking R2 that means you're not taking Sabine and K2 or you're not taking,
Chewbacca.
Yep.
He's around, maybe.
Maybe, probably not.
I have a Chewbacca someday.
Yeah, yours is good. I actually think Republic Chewbacca Rex is gonna be a cool list.
Yeah, that'll be interesting
Chewbacca
to try.
Soaking Rex's shots.
Hell yeah! You're talking about those token providers, but now they went up, didn't they? Like tacticians and stuff have all gone up. So does 3PO get a little better?
Maybe let's talk Rebel changes. The Boogeyman,
Rebellion,
the Boogeyman, the bus. The bus
did not go up in points.
Did not change. Yeah, the bus.
Well, because the bus with no upgrades is not very good.
Is not the problem.
It's all the things you put onto it.
The real scary guy, the unorthodox tactician, has changed. He got 2 changes. He got an errata and a 60% point hike.
He needed it.
Yeah,
he needed it. He needed
one of these 2 things. I'll be anxious to see, and I don't know where. I don't know where it will fall. Whether both at the same time was too much.
But like you said, that you got to gear up for the things, and so I like this change in the tactician, which, by the way, now happens when you activate the activate the bus. So
the tactician will roll his dice and pass out aims when the bus activates. And the trick is, and the reason why I think I actually really like that change. I think that's a brilliant, and it's going to change the pace of the game. It's the same thing I wish would happen with Direct. I wish Direct was an action. That's a conversation for another day. The 6-point upgrade on top of that kind of irks me a little bit just because Rebels have such a difficult time ordering vehicles. And so getting that bus to go when you want it to, because it has to go early in a turn in order to get its aims out for its friends to shoot later, it means you're not going with a big alpha unit like a veteran with a fire support with an extra aim, or a K2 wind up or something like that wherever you want to throw your aims, or most importantly a Wookiee charge because they lost one of their most easy accesses to Duelist. I don't know if it's gonna make the tactician kind of worthless. 16 points for an upgrade that then also means you probably have to spend 10 points on an HQ uplink. We'll see. But to kind of help compensate, the bus's big gun did go down, which was a nice, pleasant surprise.
It did. I was surprised to see it drop by 8 points. And maybe it's because if you want to just have an attack bus, it was kind of expensive to not do other things, and then suddenly your bus was 150 points.
36 points for that gun was pretty expensive.
And without a tactician or anything, the 6 dice they can whiff pretty hard.
They don't surge, so it's really only 3 hits reliably, like on average. So, even if you're using it as an impact weapon, if you don't have that tactician, you roll your 3 hits, you're shooting at something in heavy cover, that's one hit going through that they still may save. So it going down feels about right.
Listen, best change in all the Rebel stuff, land speeder gunner down to a single point.
They could have made it free, and I still don't know that you take it.
It never made sense that 2 white dice gun was 9 points. Like, I was like, never made sense.
2 white dice, range 1 to 3, whoop-de-doo. Reckless Driver doubled in point cost to 6 points, or from 6 to 12.
When you're giving that many actions to a thing, like, it just gave too many things for 6 points.
That one I'm kind of more okay with, but I also think that this is going to get the E-Stims treatment, where
it may come back down a little bit.
It'll probably come back down to like 8 to 10 points is probably where it needs to be, but it was dominating the meta. Like, Bus and Reckless were stapled together. I'm very anxious to see what people are going to do with Shriv buses, or Hotshot buses, or all the other cool Rider Azadi buses, all the other combos that you can pull off. So I'm not mad at this change.
Oh, the change you were maddest about, and you've talked about it 3 or 4 times, is the change to Wedge Antilles.
Oh my gosh.
Mad, but okay with, but still kind of mad.
Exactly.
Look what they've done to my boy. All right, so Wedge gains Field Commander, which is awesome. I actually really like that. But he also goes up back to 5 points, instead of where he's been at 1. And you wouldn't think that's a huge deal, but as I've been building these like double Rebel heavy lists with new Wedge, I was like, I can't fit him. Like, I have 4 points to spend. I don't have the 5. And I think Shriv is just better. And so if I'm taking a Field Commander, it's going to be Shriv. I don't ever see myself taking Wedge as my only Field Commander. I wish I could have a Field Commander Wedge for 5 points and just I do donuts in the parking lot Wedge for 1 point. It has made list building tricky, but I am glad. Like, it's cool that you have that option. So... And maybe Rebels will get another heavy someday where that's going to be, where spinning those 90 degrees is going to be really worth it. Who knows? We'll see.
I think it'll get there. I will say a lot of your heavy weapons came down in some odd places. Like, you never expect the ion gun to come down again, but also it's because no one's using it. So.
It's because no one's taking it because we have no reliable way to refresh. Pow got cheaper. Neat. He's not in the
he needs an
Church of
Errata.
Biston.
Pow needs to be able to place on a core. He does.
I think Pow and Biston both need to get the Del Mico and Gideon and Fives and Echo treatment. They just want to be like the rest of the named characters where they can go in cool units too. Yes. The Fleet Barrage Trooper, who cares? Once again, needs a refresh. So, or
a cycle. Like, it needs to one of those two things there.
I think one of the changes that is going to matter with the low profile change, Commando Saboteurs down another 3 points.
Ooh.
That surprised me. I'll be real honest. I didn't expect that. Maybe it's because people have been playing them for a while. I can see it. I mean, but
close your tabletop admirals. Minimize those. Does anybody remember what that die pool is?
For what?
Isn't it black white?
The Rebel Sab.
Red white?
It is not black white. It is not red white.
What the hell is it?
It is red white white.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That seems really good.
Sabine's bombs are red white, and I think it's Impact 1.
Huh.
With the new low profile changes, and E-Stims came back down. I don't know. There might be something there. There might be some juice there.
I mean, I'm
thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about it.
So for 53 points, you can get a 2-man team with the Saboteur, Duck and Cover, and E-Stims. Because trying to help them live.
Leia also came down, and Sabs love Leia for her 2-pip.
Yeah, they do. I remember the good bad days.
Leia down at 80 almost doesn't feel like. I think I would have felt better about it, but we'll get to Krennic. Krennic dropped by 15 to 75, and Leia at 80 still feels a little high, especially because now you've kind of got to take a 8-point upgrade on her to give her take cover 3, which is not necessarily bad. Her command cards, her profile seems fine. Her command cards just feel outdated.
Yeah, they do feel outdated.
But I think there's the Leia Sab list. There's something there. I put together a 11 activation, triple Sab strike, triple Taun list.
And those Sabs do have impact on that bomb.
Yeah.
Impact 1, but I mean, it's nice to get it where you can.
So,
except in the T-47s because they're immune.
The thing with the, just to go through the last couple of upgrades, the FD laser cannon dropped by 5. No one cares. Still, you either love the laser
Keith
cannon
cares.
or you hate it.
Keith cares.
Yeah.
Commandos as a whole came down by 2, which is great. So really the Commandos, the Sab full unit team went down by 5 if you wanted to take a 5-man saboteur team, which is pretty cool. Pathfinders came down by 2. There was much rejoicing.
Hey.
And then Jin dropped by another 10.
What is happening?
Before you showed up, Will, I was talking to Ben. Will, do you remember Jin's original printed cost?
Oh. 130?
Good job, well done. She has come down 40 points.
Oh, I don't understand.
So here's what I'm thinking: is that we saw Ryan learn how to play Jin, and so we remembered when she was okay, and then we saw how she really got used well, and I think we locally fear her more than the nation does,
I
or
think
the
so.
world for that matter. I don't get it either. Like, no, she's still good. I mean, she's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the wrong hands, she's not as good. She's so variable on what she can and cannot do.
Yeah. I think some of the other changes that have come around to Rebels have kind of helped her too. K2's gun gives you another way to play her, which is really cool.
Yes.
But yeah, Rebels now have access to a Courage 3 bubble for 90 points. You can't get mad at that. And she's got some pretty good command cards. I'd say her 3-pip is either a worthless card or a card that just wins you the game. So, Rebels, all in all, I think they had some bad stuff happen to them. They had some good stuff happen to them. My biggest takeaway is AMG, why do you hate the Rebel ATRT? For Rebels, I think all of the changes are fine and they're great and they're cool. I'm more surprised at the things they didn't change. Like, yeah, where's my Rebel RT at? Like, the clone one got some loves, and the clone one it's already been miles away better. And I understand I'm not looking for a points cut to the RT because you make it too spammable. That's a problem. I get that. I would just love to give it a keyword or two, make it more appealing. Maybe give it fire support or let it take the claim action or something. I don't know. Give it something unique and cool.
Hey, your flamethrower went down, didn't it?
Did.
Same
5 points.
Yeah.
All right, next time you play your little clone RT, don't scout with it and see how it feels.
I've played them. They're bad. I understand this.
But it can just throw, a black and 2 white dice.
Yeah.
With quick one.
Yeah, I'd still have my better gun.
Yeah, and your better defense because you're surging.
Oh, it's far and away better. I don't know how mine is only 5 more now. Like yours is 50, right?
His is 55.
55.
So and mine's 60. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 5-point difference.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
And then the fact that we're going into Wookiee madness, and I feel like the Wookiees have been outpacing Mandos.
Wookiee madness.
I was surprised the Mandos didn't come down a touch.
I don't know if Mando should come down or if Wookiees should just get a little up, a little touch, just a little poke.
And that's that weird place where Wookiees have been like,
Wookiees have been good since the bus came out.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So do the bus changes help enough with the Wookiees is the thing. So we'll see.
Well, I think honestly Republic is going to be a big litmus test for that because they don't have a bus.
Well,
so
we've got a lat.
We'll see.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I think if you're going to put the points into the Mando resistance, I think you just go Clan Ren.
I only take Clan Ren if I'm taking Sabine.
I get it, but you get so much more health out of them. Like, I mean, you can still throw the rockets.
They break the game wide open when we get a crew that is Sabine, and then we'll talk.
Oh, because then they can measure to a Sabine. Oh, that's why you're never going to get it then.
Yeah, you're probably. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Unlike X-Wing, we're not going to put Sabine in every model.
Plenty of their games with Sabine. Destiny Sabine was broken. X-Wing Sabine was broken. When she came out, Legion Sabine was pretty bonkers. She's kind of gotten phased out by some other things. But all in all, I think Rebels kind of stayed where they're at, and I think Rebels are going to keep doing the thing that I think they've done really well, and they're going to have a variety of play styles. Because if you look at these changes, the dominant Rebel playstyle got a little harder to do, and the underutilized ones got a little cheaper. So I think Rebels are in a pretty cool spot. The only frustrating thing about list building has been because my changes haven't been like huge. It's now me having to not play with my new points. It's play around what I'm going to be playing as new points and think about how the game's going to develop. And how I have to move with it rather than just what moved in my corner.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no. Heaven forbid.
Because every other big errata we've had, Rebels have gotten quite a few big changes where like new things dropped by a significant amount of points or gotten new keywords, and that's not the case this time around.
Right. It's a wait and see what you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
My faction didn't change a whole lot at all. So
yeah, we want to talk about the biggest change faction here.
And that's a problem.
He's
droid. Yeah. So the AAT tank, my tank went up 5 points. It's the only heavy to ever go up.
Hooray!
It's not a lot of change, honestly. I would have paid the 5 points anyway. So we've had this conversation for a while. Droids have the bid, and part of that is model makeup. Like my models are at a place where I have points and I really can't spend them except just add extras onto a model so when it dies it costs more points. Like there's just like a comm upgrade. Sure, I can take it. Like there's just not a lot of places for me to put things around and move it into. So I'm okay with the AT going up. The B1 going up 2 points surprised me a little bit.
But
I get it though. I get it.
But
all my heavies for the B1s came down 2 points.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, the radiation cannon came down 6, the least. Listen, all the other ones coming down 2 points, I get it. Because if you're going to take a heavy, they're trying to give that back to you. That makes sense. It's trying to encourage using heavies and not taking all 6.
Use the rad guns, Ben.
The rad guns are so bad.
But they're 16 points.
They're bad.
I love closer. Weird stuff, don't get me wrong. It's still not good.
It's still real bad, I know.
The E5C is 16 points as well, and it's 3 black dice at range 3.
Damn it.
Yeah, if that rad cannon... It's the problem with getting the radiation token itself. Like, you have to hit first, and if you don't hit, then nothing happens.
You have to wound, yeah.
Yeah, you have to wound, yeah. I mean, like, it's just... That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
And the only thing it's really good against is, like, heroes. Like, it's good. It does other things to other things, but you really want those rad cannons against heroes. And you've got Maul for that. So, you've got other answers for that problem.
If Wookiees come running at me, the radiation cannon isn't going to do enough to get a single model off the table. Never mind.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the point changes have been small point changes, or things that have already existed. The biggest change, I mean, Cad Bane's 5, that's sure, whatever. Dooku came down 5 a long time ago. That hasn't really changed. Droidekas at 75 is nice. Came down from 100 to 75, so... Cool. I love it all. The biggest change has been Grievous.
Yeah.
Grievous dropped 15 points.
Well, I mean...
And then
his pistol... 15 points, yeah.
His pistol dropped another 4. So, 19-point swing on Grievous.
I'm scared.
Oh, you should be. I put together a list a little bit earlier. Oh, it's fantastic, and I love it. Is Grievous... Improvised orders, strict orders, the Annihilator gun, fully kitted out Maul... 6 naked B1s, 3 spider droids of all 3 varieties. That is 11 activations and 800 points on the nose.
It's disgusting. Yeah,
it's an ion spider. It's a laser cannon.
This is an auto include by any means. Grievous is now an option.
I could get Grievous and Maul for 365 points, fully kitted. But that's not a bad place to be.
I think you're going to probably, if you're going to do that, you're going to eventually sub Maul out for whenever you get your Magna Guards. Like, I think Grievous is going to become a monster when Magna Guards show up.
Yeah.
And you're just going to be able to crash into melee and be like, enjoy this blob of red saves wounds I just threw at you. Yeah, no,
That's
Grievous is a real decision now, because people forget, like, Grievous's biggest weakness, 2 courage. His biggest strength, 8 freaking wounds on a red armor save with block. Not great ways to get dodge tokens, sure, but still 8 wounds you got to chew through.
Yeah, that is an amazing point place to be at. And I'll be honest, I put Grievous down when I got the T series because my commander was costing me 195 points or 185 points because I had to have the gun too. Like, you need the gun. I mean, plus all of his other stuff.
Speaking of the T series, how did he not go up?
Wonder if you're going to bring it up.
How did he not go up in cost? How did Clone Bob go up, but not CIS Steve?
Here's what I think. Because I don't have a red defense die, I'm going to say that's where I.
When you hide behind a line of sight blocker, you don't need any defense die. His defense die is irrelevant.
You'd be surprised when T-47 can zoom around. That new thing that Will's about to get, the Swamp Speeder, it can just do circles sideways now.
No, but there's usually so much more that you have to shoot other than a little T-series. It's not the red save. Like, if direct was an action or required a timing window or something, but just the fact that, like, your whole factions is bonkers. The droid trooper keyword of not being suppressed is bonkers, and it's kind of tapered with AI, and the T-series tax just means you get to pretty much ignore AI. And if we look at the things that got the changes, the reckless driver, the tactician, 5s, these things that got hit with the hammer were the things that were just showing up in every list in their faction, R2-D2. And that little dude was a staple of every CIS list, and he didn't get touched in his form or his personnel upgrade form, which is honestly even crazier to me.
Again, I'm just finding the thing I love it. So I think, but we've talked about, so the Clone Trooper version has 3 black dice, so that's 3 possible wounds you can give, has the red defense dice, and has a Clone Trooper keyword, which allows it to share tokens, which the T-Series doesn't have at all. Now, that being said, I would pay 60 points for T-Series.
Face-up orders for you do way more for you than they do for a clone.
They do different things.
They do different things. They really do.
Granted, his can become 1 direct into most of the list has an order token.
Right.
On a 1 pip, yeah.
Yeah, and then mine sets up fire supports really easily. So it's
that's a huge dice pool thing that happens.
I know 1 looks more impressive on a board as it makes 1 direct turn into 7 orders on a card that orders 1 unit, and that's kind of like, especially to a rebel player, that's probably very offensive.
Yeah, it is.
Because the other 4 tokens in my bag are my special forces or my commander.
And so I think, not to go into something too heavy here, Ryan, but I think that's a lot of your CIS hate is because you see his tokens and go, "F***er, I want those.
I want those. Absolutely.
I don't get to order anything. I just get to order like a couple things and just go to the bag, and it screws me." And so you have token envy, Ryan.
I do.
Order token envy. Just like how Ben has...
I also want AI to be a thing, and when they're on the table, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, you can argue that it's been over-mitigated to be as a bad, but you also... Do you want someone to sign up for the faction that punishes them? I hear both ends.
I want counterplay, and I just don't feel like, hey, you got to get to this guy who's inside a bunker in the back of my army, but he's only got 4 wounds on a shitty save. Like, that's not great counterplay.
I think with the prevalence that he was the only option, every list had him. Says something, and I think he should have gone up. And then Ben said he would still pay 60, so I think we're all kind of in agreement that he should have gone up to 60 like mine did, but oh well.
See, I mean, we talk about being able to put out tokens there. Clones can also put out, 4 with their 1 pip?
It's a problem. It's a problem there too.
Yeah,
but I'm going to complain less about theirs because theirs just went up.
Mine, that combo costs over 5s, and the commander guy is 104 now. I think just the 2 models. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
that's an 1/8 of my list to do that, which is still really good. I'm not saying it isn't, but
still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, B2s didn't really get touched. Maul did not get touched, which was another big thing for CIS. Like, for me, all the CIS changes are reasonable. The ones they did make, I kind of like. It's kind of like it's the stuff they didn't do. It's Maul didn't go up. Maul's probes, they're pretty point efficient. Just everybody took them, and I think when we see,
I would take them without Maul if I could.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm required to pay a Maul tax to get them. Like they're really good. They're very points efficient.
You must take that undertuned Maul tax. You poor boy.
You have to bring Maul?
Indeed. Well, I wish I would bring more of them. I do.
You have to take that guy that gets 3 actions. Oh no.
No, what I'm saying, I think people would bring more of them. Again, there's weird point gaps. Like you were talking about, like I'm just out of units. Like I have filled up all my core, I have filled up all of my special forces or whatever it may be, and there's about a 30-point place where I don't have anything I can put inside the CIS. And so we're about to get more mitigation from that because my super tactical droids are more points. They're about 35, 40 more points than the base commander. We're getting more units that have more gap fill, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
It will broaden the things out. Like there'll be less of the 30-point bid just because we naturally have options we can put them in.
But you say that like it's, but also bids don't matter anymore.
I still think they matter. I know I think they matter in a good way, not as impactful as they used to be. I do think bids will come down, but I don't think it matters. So now your extreme bid is 6 to 9 points instead of 30 points. So that still is almost like a 30-point buff just to CIS. Or a 20-point buff, I should say. I don't know. I'm worried about what this errata is, and the upgrades that you're about to get, because everything is incredible that's about to drop for the CIS. Magna Guards, Spider Droids, even the Persuader tank is so good.
But it's the weakling of the new releases.
I don't see his point cost ever going down because I think it's awfully good.
That's what I'm saying is I think, boys and girls, my takeaway from this CIS errata is that LJ Pena, your bias for the CIS is infected, AMG, and everybody bring Ion for the next 6 months.
I will say
they're happening.
I'm sure. I can't believe it hasn't happened already. And maybe it's because tournaments like SoCal, where you would have expected half that field to be CIS or a third of it, was only 1/6 of it. Like, it was actually a much smaller number.
Do you know why that is though? Like, no one wants to buy, build, and paint all the stupid
That's what it is.
robots.
There's a different tax, and I paid that to Wilhelm. So
when I just gotta boot it up in TTS and click a couple buttons, and I got a fully built and painted army. Yeah,
I mean, I'm real surprised we haven't seen more Ion. Just be prepared for it, because you can throw it at heavy vehicles, and you can throw it at, and it messes my day up. Like it really does mess my day up.
Yeah, how CIS as probably the number 1 to number 2 faction going into this errata, how they came out in a better place, really unscathed, is a mystery to me.
My STABs went up 2 points.
You poor darling.
Hey, listen, they now cost the exact same thing as the Imperial bikes. So,
but that's where you're wrong.
Oh, that's true. They did change. Oh, look at that.
Look at that pivot. It's almost like we planned it. We actually didn't.
Oh my god.
Let's talk about
Let them believe.
Let's
don't ruin the magic.
Don't take the magic out of the sauce.
We have about 1 page of notes and changes for Rebels, Empire, GAR, Neutral, and CIS upgrades, and then about another page of Imperials.
If only we had an Imperial specialist here to talk about this.
Well,
but we don't have one of those on the show.
A retreat is what he told us, but he didn't talk a lot about it. I just assume he's being touched in a tent in the woods. I don't know. It's like
it's best not to ask. Otherwise, you're kind of liable.
Yeah, you are liable. That's exactly it. So they got all the changes, and they needed all the changes. Let's be honest. The Imperials were a distant fourth.
Yeah,
distant.
A distant fourth.
Distant.
And the changes are all pretty solid. Speeder bikes down to 70. ATSD come down, and all the ATSD weapons, more importantly.
Oh, they did.
Talk about your boy.
A certain ATST cockpit sitter.
Yeah, talk about your boy, Ben.
Back in the day, I was a General Weiss player, and when we got the Surge hit pilot, everyone was like, I'm not going back to Weiss. And I still liked Weiss, because I liked having 4 weapons, but it was expensive, and it didn't always pay out as well as you would like. But Weiss is now field commander. He now gets to use all 4 weapons he's had attached to him, and he doesn't have to tap to do it.
That's the big. For me, honestly, that's the biggest part.
I didn't even realize that was the change. Like I think Brett had to explain it. I was like, wait, what? It was amazing. Yeah, that's huge. Like the field commander won, so I don't have to bring as many points for an actual commander. It's 45 points in the Imperial faction, but it is, he doesn't do a whole lot. Doesn't actually add a lot of value. Whereas field commander, that is great. And, with my courage 2, which I'm going to get from some of the other guys, that's a pretty long distance from that big old base there. So I'm perfectly fine with that bubble. I'm just going to shoot all the things down. And I think you can do it for less than 215 points, I think. It is amazing to me.
It's pretty wild. Stormies, all of their heavy weapons came down. Shore's heavy weapon is back down to, I think it's
Can we talk about that poor HH-12 still being a thing that no one cares about?
I don't... Again, why not put cycle on them?
16.
Just put cycle on the thing, and it solves all the problems.
It's 16 points. I can kind of see it because it's still 3 black dice, right?
3 black, impact 3, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good weapon.
It's a great weapon.
But it taps and cumbersome.
Yeah, it's taps and cumbersome. That's the problem.
By
the way, ATST fully loaded like that, 183 points.
Lord,
I want to give it link targeting array because I'm cool. 188. Krennic dropped 15 points.
That's crazy because
he what?
Krennic is 75 points.
No, he's 75. Yeah, okay. That's the thing below it. That's 70. I can't read.
Yeah.
Krennic at 75 is pretty wild. Like when Leia went down to 80, I was like, oh, neat. And then I saw that Krennic was down. I was like, wait a minute, I want that because Krennic is, I think he's kind of the analog to Leia. And I think his command cards, especially with the type of lists I think we're going to see going forward, getting access to Krennic's command cards, screw his profile. His command cards for 75 points seems
that's
great.
Worthwhile.
I think Krennic is the new generic Imperial commander.
Well, he costs the same as Veers now. Veers went to 75, so it's like, I don't know, you have to pick which flavor, and I still think Krennic's better.
Very different like those command cards. I mean, depends what you do with those command cards. When you have Krennic come down like that, Death Troopers came down 4 points. Their config is down to 0. DTF is at 15 points.
Yeah, Death Troopers I think are kind of back.
I do wish there was a way to mitigate some of their damage taking. I do. Because sometimes they do get hit pretty hard. I mean, because they only have 1 health, but red defense die, all those things. I mean, I've attacked them and had them not die. So
it's the Mando problem. But I mean,
when they live, they live, and when they don't, they don't.
Yeah, Mandos at least have Impervious to kind of back them up a little bit, but they're also now considerably more expensive, and Mandos don't have the range that DTs have.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
DTs are still. They look so good, and yet I have seen them just fall over like Mandos sometimes do.
If they blank out on those red dice,
or get pierced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not to sound like our bad takes friend, but Pierce does hurt them quite a bit.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. And I would have liked to have seen Impervious.
Not saying it
them.
shouldn't. I don't know. It's just a weird spot to be in.
I would have liked to see Impervious on them. I would have.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think they get costed out then.
I mean,
because they don't get to sit at 72 points with Impervious.
No. Not unless it goes down to 3.
That is their weakness, and I've said it several times. That is the counterplay that they have is you can hunt them with snipers. I don't know. Good changes. I think Death Troopers are an option now. I don't think they're your go-to option. I don't think they're the only option, but I think you can build a Death Trooper list. And even just if you're bringing Krennic, bringing 1 just because you're going to be able to fish their order out of the bag. Seems
not bad.
Yeah, it really isn't.
Did we talk about Del Meeko and Gideon?
Yeah, they both got cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Del got a lot cheaper because he's bad.
A lot cheaper. Because he's so bad. He's so bad.
He's a cool sniper. It's not awful.
I would, since you can put him in a core unit, I think that's a good place to be.
Him in a snow seems real good.
Yeah.
Yes, and the repair. I mean, so if you've got him next to a vehicle, because he can shoot range 1 to 5. You can do
with,
that.
With vehicles happening more, I think him and a core, yeah, it's not awful.
It's if he's walking alongside a Gav tank, like that's a fine place to be for 25 points to basically get lethal 1, 2 black dice at range 5. That just helps your a trooper squad, and he happens to have the ability to heal something he's walking by it with an extra wound.
Are you looking at his card? Does he have high velocity?
He does have high velocity.
Okay, so that's solid.
Yeah. So snowtroopers moving, they shoot one target, he shoots another.
Yeah.
You can't use that. Yeah, I mean, I like it. If they happen to have an aim, which they can get with snowtroopers, because they could aim, move, then shoot. I mean, I think there's nice pieces in there.
But I think Gideon's still the star here at the 29. I mean,
sure, absolutely.
He's not 5s. That's just a thing. But he's.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's close.
He's close. Turns out having someone with direct helps a 5's equivalent unit pretty well.
Yeah,
pretty well. But even then, his Gideon is 29 points.
29 for 2 red, 2 wounds, bravery, coordinate. Like, it's still not bad.
No bravery, but yeah, coordinate and leader.
No bravery?
Yeah, no bravery.
Really?
No, I'm pretty sure he...
Oh, no, sorry, it is. My apologies.
I thought it was a pretty direct equivalent with just the dice are different.
So, yeah, that's really good for 29 points.
2 surging red for 3 non-surging black seems okay. IRGs finally getting the love they deserve, coming down 10 points in total if you bring the Electrostaff Man.
Which you probably should be because of what it does.
Definitely should be.
Yeah.
Dropping 6 points is always good. I mean, yeah.
But then, then Electro Man came down by 4, so like I said, you're not going home without him.
I mean, you had differences across the board in their heavies. Baron Rudor came down, Governor Price came down, like all the stuff. They had a major points adjustment.
Yep.
And it's a good thing. I really do think it's a good thing here. Palpatine came down 10 points. Palpatine's down 10 points.
Callus's staff came down, so by extension, Callus came down by 10 points. Maybe someone will play him.
Callus is so good.
Probably not.
Scott's been playing against me with him, and Callus is very good. The cards he does, I mean, the threat he poses, the aggro he takes. I mean,
bringing a melee style kind of like gap stopper unit, cunning seems pretty good, especially if Wookiees are becoming a thing. Dewback's coming down in price. I do think we are getting more of a melee-ish style meta, and so maybe Callus will be good. I don't. Jury's out.
Yeah, and part of the problem evaluating all this is that we haven't had that much kind of time to experiment in it. It's like
exactly
that seems good. We'll see. It's interesting.
See if it's enough or if it's not enough.
And so Tim, to give him some credit, a lot of the issues that the Imperials tend to be the synergy inside their units.
Right.
And so maybe this will help get them. Like the gun line's going to be an interesting place. I still don't know you can do it as well as you would like it to be, but you couldn't mix melee and gun line. We talked about this with the Rebels. Like you can have the Tauntauns present a huge threat. Behind that threat was Luke, and then behind that threat was the other guys who are going to shoot to maintain. So that was a hard kind of 3-step wall. Do the Empire have something similar in a 2 to 3-step wall there? I don't know that they do, but that'll be the thing. Will those units work together? But Empire players may not care because of the changes to Vader.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Because I mean, I'll be honest, I am okay if Vader ends up overtuned out of all of this because he has to be on the table. It's hard to sell a Star Wars game if I can't see Vader being used somewhere.
Whew, he's good.
He went up 15 points for his commander version and up 20 points for his operative because the changes they made, they feel are that good.
And they're right.
So we've talked about Darkness Descends is now permanent. If you don't divulge it, he gets reliable 2 from when you played it for the rest of the game, which sounds like a turn 1 thing for me, but maybe it's turn 2. I mean, that's fantastic. Reliable 2 helps him in all the ways. He gets some surges for attack or for defense, the things he doesn't normally get. Like, that's fantastic. Implacable. When he activates, he gains 1 dodge token. At the end of his first activation, huge. Suffer that wound, put him back in. Next time he activates, 4 for your action. That's every time he's getting a dodge token to come out of that.
Now, the only downside is it's when he activates, not when he's issued an order. So you don't get it at the top of the turn. But if you're playing Implacable, you're probably going first with Vader anyway. Yes. So it's not
right. But it gives you that second dodge. It's like
yeah. Big boy Vader is gaining compel core unit with his dash bravery, which is
so
bananas.
good.
I think people are really underselling that. People don't think it's as big of a deal as I kind of think it is, especially I think Blizzard Force here with Commander Vader and a bunch of snowtroopers that never panic until Vader dies and then your whole army falls apart, but that's kind of thematic.
If he dies.
Right. Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, don't forget that fun part.
So, yeah, Commander Vader getting some more utility because he was just this giant beatstick before, and he was a really good beatstick, but that's all he was, and now he's got some stuff to kind of help his whole army out.
I got to go to Blizzard Force for a second because my mind's been processing, and the other listeners may be with me on the same level. The idea that I can compel a snowtrooper to move, who they are suppressed but not panicked, so they can move, shoot, and then still have an action there.
Yep.
Do you know what that action is, Ben?
Recover.
It's a dodge, so they stay alive.
No, it's
or
recover,
move again.
so you can shoot your ion gun that came down.
And get rid of your suppression that you just got extra of to get that move.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the things. It's like, I mean, that is amazing. Like that is I get why he's back at 190
for the snows is still pretty bad, but in this list, I think it works.
But he's going to have to do the thing which I know Empire hasn't done a lot of. Like you're going to flood your field with core troopers.
Yeah.
Like that's how you play with Commander. It's like you're going to flood it with core troopers so you can use it every time.
Yep. No, I think Snows and Vader are going to be spooky. Even before we get Blizzard Force rules for whatever else is going to happen there. Like,
yeah, it makes me happy. This Vader is terrifying. I think that was the only change to that.
Didn't he get a training or something? Or a command?
No.
He has a command slot. And
he's got a command slot now. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is command slot. Super cool. I think it's always going to be... I could see maybe aggressive tactics to give him another surge token. Or just good old...
Esteemed leader,
yeah.
If you're going to surround yourself with snowtroopers, I mean, and now the extra bodies are to place. They're not that expensive.
Well, the extra bodies are dead, but we'll talk about that.
Well,
Esteemed is
no,
good.
8 points, man. 8 points.
Yeah. What's the... Was one of them let your bravery bubble be larger? Because if that's... I mean, on a dash bravery...
You could take that. Yeah, that's
Inspiring
true.
presence.
Yeah.
Friendly user range 1 to 4 can check your value. Yep.
I mean, on a dash bravery, like...
If you come against a war worry, now your elixir range is 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commander Vader, real good. Spooky Op Vader.
Spooky Operative Vader. Speed 2. Help.
Yeah, that speed change, that was...
Speed 2 loses...
lost spur. The keyword he didn't need is just flat out Speed 2 now.
Yep.
Gained an additional training slot.
Still relentless,
and
right?
Still relentless. And gained a wound, so now he's 7 wounds. So Commander Vader's sitting at 8 wounds, which is top of the pile, tied with Grievous. And now Operative Vader tied with Operative Luke for 7 wounds.
Jedi Hunter still has Master of the Force, so you can choke some people if you need to. Like, he is now your answer to other Jedis, where I don't know that you really had that beforehand.
Man. The only reason I say that Commander Vader may not see play is because Operative Vader is so good.
He really is. And you still get those command cards, which give him the reliable 2.
Yeah.
I mean, he's throwing 5 red dice. Now, granted, Maul can throw 5 red dice and 4 white dice because tenacity. It's a thing that is possible. I know. It is so good.
Like, get your ascension cables ready, boys and girls, to just run away from this guy without jump. But yeah, this guy is terrifying.
Anakin gets out of the lat. No, let me back in. I'm scared.
I mean, because he's got relentless and not charge. So his threat range, even though his force throw isn't great, that gives him a almost range
blast,
4
right?
threat range. Yeah, it's blast scatter.
Blast.
Yeah, that's spooky.
Having done this with Dooku 2 weeks ago, it is amazing when you shoot someone, scatter them closer to you, and then walk into melee.
Yep. You can't attack
or allow
that,
someone else to walk into melee.
You can just say, "Hey, I'm here now."
Or recohere a heavy weapon into range 1 of you and then choke him.
Yep.
Yes, and choke him to death. Yes. I mean, it's just
recohere into range 1 and force push them towards you, and then
yeah.
Yep. It's all the things you can do with that blast scatter.
And the fact that you can double move at speed 2 and use it.
Mhm.
It's your threat range is like just under. It's like 3 and 3.7 or something like that.
I don't have his card. Is he Master the Force 1 on operative?
Yes.
Okay.
Master
just
Force
one.
1. Yeah.
So good. Okay.
So very good. And I'm not going to say it because you're going to make fun of me. So there are times when I'm playing Maul and I'm like, oh, I have to spend the time to refresh because I don't have the Master Force things. But it's one of those things I admired about Dooku because Dooku was like, no, all the things are now refreshed. Thank you. Because he's Dooku.
I know we didn't cover all the Imperial changes, but man, are they in a good spot right now. Time will tell if they are in the best spot. I'm not willing to quite say that yet. I think they got the Rebel treatment where you can now build a bunch of different types of Empire lists.
I think so,
it's not just going to be the 333 or double bounty or double heavy, but now you can still do all of those things. We didn't talk about bounty. Boba got cheaper. I think he's perfectly playable at $120 for what he brings to the table. He's not hurting in points right now. He's hurting in kind of like Leia. His command cards have gotten outdated.
Yeah, I would like to have seen him at 110. I would have. I know
that 5 surging red saves with command cards and sharp 2 at 110 seems.
But you're likely only throwing 2 black dice at a time.
Oh, that's not true.
His command cards are.
Yeah, so I mean, they are mad, but they're still a well-timed whipcord against the wrong list.
I really like that they did that with his command cards. Like, I think that's a really cool thing that it's like he's got all the bags of tricks and it's like you can bring certain ones. Like, it's neat. But they also don't give him some sort of like, it's a weapon. It's not like an effect that says you also gain such and such keyword or can
you're making choices between which weapons you're firing.
Like if he had a card that gave him steady or something for a turn, that'd be really cool, you know?
Sure. Yeah, yes. No, I definitely think he's been left in the command card dust, but I still think he's perfectly playable.
He's an early release
at $120. Yeah. So Palpatine comes down. I think Empire's in a really, really, really good spot.
I got to talk about this because we see it here, we see it in the Grand Republic, and then we see it with the Rebels. So it started off with, the conversation started with, the Republic isn't going to be able to do this thing. Or, hey, listen, maybe Phase 1's with the Captain is actually a better point cost place compared to the Phase 2's. And so we've been having that conversation online. We had our group chat yesterday, and I like it. But when we look at those changes, it happens also in the Empire and the Rebels. So I think we got to talk about what this change is to these captains. Because I don't have as a CIS. Like, I actually overlooked this change because it doesn't affect the things I can do.
The captain and the specialists all came down in the 3 factions that can take them.
Yep.
And they came down
2 points for the captain and 4 points for the specialist. That's a lot.
So,
I mean,
so the specialists are now just 1 point more than the generic guy.
Yep.
And the free action to get the token that whatever your faction provides you is bananas.
It's
I think the generic guy is dead.
Yeah.
Like, why would I ever take a rebel trooper for 8 points when I could pay 9 and get a specialist?
Well,
7 points.
It's
insane.
So especially for the specialists that provide aims, just look at it as a extra body and the training.
Offensive push.
Yeah. So it's just because it's a tap to get an aim token as you move effectively, you know. It's not quite the same. It's a free action anytime, but like you can look at it almost like that. Like you're getting a body and offensive push for 1 point more than an extra body.
Yeah.
And
for a wound. Yeah. You
and
keep
a wound
that
and all
wound
these
in
things
that.
and a die. And so for the Stormtrooper and Clone One, that's just really, really good. And then Rebels are like, oh, a dodge? You know, I kind of like that.
It really makes Nimble feel worth it on them again.
Absolutely. That specialist is a great change.
Nimble really didn't do much because Leia kind of faded out of the meta. But now that those specialists are there,
has been around,
and like Leia with vigilance and the scanner is looking a lot more appealing to try to build a little fortress. And then you've also got the captains, which I don't think they're quite as strong, but they do give the training slot to your core. And they give you you get to be a droid trooper for a turn.
So I like the captain again, it's only 2 points more than the actual special.
It's still really good.
Yeah, 2 points more than the base body. Getting that, if you need to take one or you want to take one, that's a good place for it. The ability to do a thing on your turn where you cannot remove the suppression and you cannot be suppressed. These mini gens that's always, I think, a valuable place when you're trying to do the objective. Like stormtroopers now become really good box grabbers because they have red defense dies. They can do the thing, I've got to jump on this thing and then I'm going to hopefully survive to the end of my next turn.
I think these changes in the long run of whenever we get into the next errata, I think they may have the highest impact. I think that's probably my takeaway and my hot take. They may change the way the 3 factions that they integrate play the most out of any of the other changes we see.
I'm going to need another specialist box.
Yep.
I need to put mine together.
It's 10 points. The phase 1 clone troopers or specialists is 11 points, sorry.
Yeah.
11
a body
points.
is 10. But
yeah, a body is 10. So you gain an aim, a dodge, or surge for that, and you can refresh if you need. Like that is,
it's so good.
That is great, so good.
Yeah, it's still the thing that we had kind of talked about in our group chat. A phase 1 with that specialist and a Z6 is still cheaper than a phase 2 with a Z6, and so you're getting an extra dude and a free token. Granted, you lose the bravery and the reliable, but I just think the loss of aim tokens for clones mean phase 2s are a little more iffy these days, and so I don't know. I think phase 1s are going to have a big kind of upswing for either DC 15s or just the fact that you can get these specialists in there because they are limited to the first core option for each faction. It's not like you can bring Snows with a specialist guy. Thank God. You just have to bring
and I get why.
Oh, yeah.
I get why.
And so I think especially for clones, the phase 1s probably having a resurgence, which I mean, at LSO, I didn't have any phase 2s. It's not to say I'm ahead of everything, but
you're ahead of everything. Just embrace it.
Your shoots ahead, Will. Shoots ahead.
And yet I'm still bad. How are we here? No, I just think it's going to be something you have to consider a lot more than you used to because it's like, oh, well, I plug in 3 Z6 phase 2s and then provide them aims until they get 10 hits each time they shoot and
and upgrade slots are sometimes, they're a trap for you to put points in places where you didn't need to put points. But an extra body that does a thing for that cost.
Yeah, I think they'd kind of seen that maybe core troopers are getting a lot of naked or just a weapon and all these things. It's like, how do we get those more appealing? Well, this is a good start.
That's a way
to say the least.
Very good start.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about your clone medic is 20.
Yeah.
Saves a single wound, and for that same price, you could just put an extra clone trooper body or clone specialist.
And granted, it's an extra shooting body and also prevents a wound.
Right.
So I think the medic at 20 is fair because otherwise I bring way too many to heal Obi-Wan or Anakin.
Right. Exactly. But still, that's a good place to be where the specialist feels good to take. Yes.
If healing a wound costs 10, a free token that taps should be 1 point.
Yes. Exactly.
Maybe. I don't know. And then the bravery,
I do love that it is a good change in all 3 factions, which I think will help open some play up.
So long there have been rebels that have taken the DLTs and tried to build a core focused gun line. I've just been taking my 3 naked cores and be like, I want to play with. Lately it's been special forces and heavies. This honestly, it opens a rebel core list.
I'm
back
switching
up
hats,
for me.
Ryan. I'm switching hats,
and I might.
Dude. Hi, this is Rebel Player Will here.
Yes. Welcome.
Ryan and I disagree on many Rebel things.
It's true.
Every Rebel list I have played has had 2 vets with their gun and 2 emplacements. And I still think that's very solid, even though they die. But this does make me look at the basic Rebel Trooper squad and think, this is interesting, and I'm having to think about it.
And I have always wanted to be the guy who brings lots of core units with Rebels. And I know they're not good that way. The faction is really built for those heroes and Hero Hammer. But I think this change gives you a place where you could really make those core really, really strong inside a Rebel army. They do throw black dice. I mean, they do.
I'm seeing that the Ithorian shotgun went down to 15.
Yeah,
sure did.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. And did they errata any Rebel core stuff? Did they add anything to that Ion guy?
Nope.
Poor old Ion guy.
Nope. Poor old Ion guy.
Damn
He's
it.
got a points cut.
Nope.
Still not good.
He's still sad.
Yeah.
One day. Well, he's 17 points, if that makes a difference.
No.
Last change we really have to address. We've saved the elephant in the room for last. Anger went down 2 points.
Didn't even realize that. It's a
Anger Anakin is back, baby.
All right, and when we start talking about anger, it's time to end the show.
Look, no, he has Exemplar, and so you get shot and not die, and then you have extra aims to use for the...
No, stop this nonsense.
No, I was kidding about that.
Hang on, Will and I talked about doing this build. We did.
Oh, just
tried it against me once.
Just fade me out as I'm babbling there, and you start the outro now.
As always, thanks for listening to us for this jumbo-sized episode. Thanks for hanging out. I excuse my sickly voice sounds.
You sound gross.
I do sound gross. I feel it too. Until next time, I'm Ryan Slawowski, reminding you that maybe Rebel Sabs are on the horizon. Take cover.
And I'm Wilhelm, reminding you that anything Tim says about this update is incorrect because he hasn't played one faction for long enough to know what they do.
Oh, man, shots fired. Got him. And I'm Ben Fowler, reminding you, surely my faction must be the best balanced because I had the least changes to it.
yeah, okay.
You know where you can put that?
I will say before we actually close out the episode, I do think these changes will make the game much more balanced. I see better balance after these point changes, after these Errata. I do feel it's good. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
So this is where you would normally catch whatever foolishness we had done that we'd recorded. But we have a very special bonus episode this week. Because Tim couldn't be here, he recorded some musings for us to respond to. And then, of course, we couldn't be bothered to listen to them as a group. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to go through, edit them up for volume and audio, and take out the occasional cursing rants that Tim goes on. And I will release that as a very special bonus episode known as Tim's Hot Takes. So stay tuned. It'll be coming out later this Wednesday on day of release.